Right. Welcome back to part two of the Pinstripe for Parkinson's fundraiser. I am Uncle Tats with Lynn, and joining us to kick off part two is Jacob PM from Yankee Twitter. And we appreciate you giving us your time on such a busy day for you, and obviously a very long day for us. But no, we're geared up, we're ready to go, and Parkinson's Awareness Month is in April, and you know everybody. I think everybody knows somebody that's been affected by this. Uh, it's a terrible thing to see somebody go through, and on the names that we know of, Pete Northrup, who's still fighting a good fight, positive mindset. Some people that we've lost. For me, just the names I want to throw out there. In prayers to the families that had to deal with it. George Miley, who was one of my father's best friends, that succumbed to it. A coworker of mine that I respect very, very much, Andy Jameson, who just recently lost his battle over the last month. So it does. There's nobody that has not known somebody that's dealt with this debilitating disease, and we wanted to put this fundraiser together. We have, you've been with us all day. If you have, we've had a lot of the Yankee content community give some time up and for a great cause. So you'll see the comments on our behalf that Lynn's been doing a bang up job with some facts about it, statistics, where you can reach out to donate. So every dollar counts. Any dollar counts. So continue to send your donations in. We see the donations, and we appreciate every single person that is donating or just hanging out in the chat, um, helping us get some views. So hit that like button, share this out. I'm not even gonna, I'm not even gonna go to the other thing because you guys should already know. But Jacob, when jump right in with the Yankee Twitter community, uh, it's something that has grown exponentially. And that's got to be quite a challenge to manage and make sure that how do you keep track of making sure that everybody feels like they're heard, or just to make sure that it's not somebody's like they don't get that interaction with you or any of your team. How do you manage all of that?
Yeah, I mean, whenever it comes to interaction, Yankees fans are really not known for, keeping things under wraps or their opinions under wraps. So some of that manages itself, I mean, especially if someone has a take that people don't agree with, or even if people do agree with it, you have a lot of people like adding their own little flavor to it. And you're right. I mean, it's a huge community now. It's the largest baseball community on Twitter. And I mean, we were just talking a little bit before the show. Last time I came on here a few months ago, it was maybe 10,000 members. Now we're up to 14,000 members. And as a moderation team, of course, the the community was actually started by our admin Envy a while back, and we've kind of added and taken off some moderators, but I think we're in a really good spot now. We have about four of us that really are actively in there every day and reviewing posts that have been either reported, and we actually have a thing now where we look at every member that requests to join the community, and we qualify them on whether they should join or not. And that's really the most work that happens with it, because we want to cut down on bots, and I think a lot of people uh, are really receptive to that. They really appreciate the work that we've done to cut down on those bots. Now, that's not to say that some of them don't squiggle through the lines sometimes, because a lot of them have gotten a lot smarter. But yeah, so I mean, it hasn't really been that hard to manage from that standpoint. It's just just actively going in every day and doing what we love, talking Yankees baseball, and
Yeah.
just finding different people to shout out during different weeks, like, hey, this is the member of the week. You've been putting out great stuff, or running different giveaways, working with some of our sponsors to give away, clothes, apparel, tickets, etc. So it's it's definitely a fulfilling part of what I do every day. It's not something that I get paid for in any way, actually. It's
Yeah.
just I just run it off of passion. And yeah, so it's an undertaking, but it's definitely very rewarding in the end, because I've been able to meet great people like you guys doing wonderful causes like this. So yeah, I can't say any more about how thankful I am to be here right now.
So, and well, we're very thankful that you're taking your time. You're really busy with your online neighborhood there. 14,000 is amazing, and I'm sure it's going to grow from there. And then the whole rest of your life, and so. But let's talk about the pleasant stuff. I mean, not that that isn't pleasant, but yeah, let's talk about what your takes are for the start of the season. We did a lot of talking with the guests before, but let's start for a change. We won't start with pitchers, which has been the hot topic. I want to start with catchers.
Okay.
And the Trevi versus Wells thing. What are you seeing? And what are you thinking should be the order of preference, etc. Between the two, and then of course the ones we have in the wings that could come up if and when needed.
Yeah, of course, and yeah, a great topic for that. So, whenever it comes to Trevi versus Wells, you have that classic example of, I would say an established, highly defensively focused catcher. I mean, he's a platinum glove catcher back in 2022, and and then you have the new guy, the up and coming rising star of Austin Wells, who has a big bat. He's got some pop to it, and he's very exciting from that side. It's been my opinion for a long time that offensively, the catcher is probably the position that you can give the most leeway to whenever it comes to them being effective on hitting. I mean, if they are just really great defensively, then you can give them a little bit more leash whenever it comes to their struggles offensively. And I was actually looking up stats on Trevino the other day, and I mean, there's no other catcher that catches more strikes than Jose Trevino, and and a lot of that's just due to his framing, some of his pitch calling, of course, and I think he does make pitchers better. Now, yesterday there was a lot of issues with his performance. I mean, it was really ugly to see. And of course, Nick Birdie, he didn't help out at all with some of his wild pitches. But there were a few of those that, with Trevino being the level that he is, he should have been in front of and knocked down. I mean, it was really the direct result of issues with our pitcher and our catcher that gave up 2 more runs yesterday and basically took us out of the game. So there's definitely considerations to think about with that. And then also with Trevino, offensively, he's been a real detriment so far this season. I threw out a tweet yesterday and it was, I don't think any other player, and I don't know the factuality of this, but it might be true, but I don't think any other player has grounded into more double plays this season than Jose Trevino. So, that's all something that you got to think about. And I mean, of course, the team is 6-2 right now. And I think if you were to ask most Yankee fans a month ago, would you sign up for 6-2 at this point in the season? I think a lot of people would say yeah. And I think, Joey on Twitter, DJ La MVP, he tweeted that out the other day. And I was like, you know what? That's a really good way to think about it. We still have issues, but we've got a good start. Austin Wells, he has been one of my favorite prospects over the years. I just love his swagger. I love everything about the kid. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because
you can't hate on a guy with a mustache,
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I will support anyone with a mustache to my grave, because I mean, I've got the mustache and like, it's just something you got to bring back. And I think Matt Carpenter, whenever he was on the Yankees, I think he really popularized it more. And that was kind of
Matty
the mustache for us. Yeah, yep. Exactly. It's something that's coming back. So, but Austin Wells. Whenever he was coming up, a lot of people were questioning if he was defensively viable enough to be a catcher. They were like, well, maybe we should move him to the outfield. Maybe we should move him to first base, et cetera, et cetera. But he was determined to, get better defensively, and he really has, and he showed that at the end of last season, and of course this season too. He's had a couple of issues where there were some pitches he probably should have knocked down. Pitchers obviously didn't help him there, but yeah, I mean, I think it's really matchup dependent to answer your question on who they're catching, what the team looks like, and it's going to be really interesting to see how each of their performances evolve throughout the season. When I would say maybe a month or two ago, I was thinking that Trevino would probably start 60% of the time as the season progressed, and then that would flip to where Wells would start about 60% of the time, probably after the trade deadline. After Wells gets more time behind the plate, more time hitting, more at bats. But it'll be interesting to see how that evolves, because if Trevino continues to struggle, that percentage may flip a lot earlier than I expected.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I think with with the catching, prior to the start of prior to the opening day, not the home opener, but the the talking point for me was I expected them to have really more of that traditional platoon
Mhm.
where it wasn't like just a catcher, like a day game, night game. That they were really, it was going to be like 2 games a piece, 2 games and then another, switch it up. Um, but the way you're seeing Trevino more with the bat, I'm leaning more towards because I think that Wells should be getting the majority of it.
Mhm.
Um, I understood the opening day lineup, wanting Trevi in there, the season guy, the veteran just back from injury. He did have a platinum glove. It's not like he's some average run of the mill catcher. They don't give those out by accident. So I understood that the other day with the day game, night game. But as far as working with the staff, I want to see them be just a little more um, organized and more cohesive. Just because you see in the even with the pitch com, it still seems like, especially the other game, like the game yesterday, because it's the most fresh in the mind. The pass balls, just the cross ups, like that shouldn't even be a factor anymore.
Yeah.
And when you have a seasoned guy like Trevino back there, nothing should be getting past him. Unless they're really bouncing the ball where it just takes a bad hop and goes over the shoulder.
Mhm.
But like balls in the dirt, I'm sorry, Trevi, you gotta get in front of that.
Mhm.
You gotta be a little more. I don't know if being he's another year older. You think maybe he's losing his agility a little bit to move behind the plate?
well. It's interesting because, by the way, if you haven't caught Chris Vitale's latest series, the name of which is escaping me, which is bad. But Chris will be a guest in our 7 o'clock hour. So he had John Flaherty on as his guest this week, and which I mean, you gotta check it out. I'll make sure we get the link into the chat here. Um, and the question came up about what seems to be the new wave across catchers of the one knee down.
Mhm.
And Vitale asked Flaherty what he thought about that. And Flaherty, it probably wouldn't surprise anyone that watches Flaherty, is that he's very conservative and old school with his approach. And he said that he doesn't like it. He feels like it limits the catchers in many different ways. And you know he was the first one I thought of, well, after the swear words, when I saw what happened. That was another run score, because I really feel his knee that's down is the one facing the third baseline,
Mhm.
and I think it really impacted his movement there.
Yeah.
That should have been a tag. And were he in the usual position to pivot easier, it would have been a tag. Wondering what you think about that, Tats. And then Jacob.
Yeah, and that that is a great way to think about it too. And I'll have to check out. Thanks for recommending that with John Flaherty. And that's something I actually haven't thought about lately, and I'm glad that you really brought it up. I mean, I remember whenever the debate first came up about the one knee being down years ago with Gary Sanchez. Now, of course, he wasn't necessarily known as a great defensive catcher, right?
Right.
So, and I think what you said there definitely has merit. I feel like what they're worried about with why they're allowing the knee to be down, or why that's become more of a normal thing, is because it provides more durability to the catcher. Maybe it obviously doesn't wear them down and stuff like that, and maybe elongates their career a little bit more. I don't know all the numbers behind it, but I'm just kind of making some assumptions about it. But whenever you're increasing your durability there, you're limiting your efficiency as a catcher, which makes perfect sense to me. Uh,
Yeah.
and maybe, and this is diving a little bit deeper into it, maybe too deep. It's to say, if a knee has to be down, like say you're in a point of a game where maybe you have to put a knee down, or or maybe they're still wanting to let that kind of litter end to some of the catchers in the game. If there's a runner on the third baseline, maybe you don't want to have that knee down. Maybe you
Yeah.
want to have the opposite knee down. So it's just a way to kind of pick apart, which that's what we do in baseball. We pick apart every little thing about it.
Oh yeah,
That's, so,
We're
but
pros
yeah,
at that.
it's
yeah,
what we live to
exactly.
do. Pick
Yeah,
apart, criticize.
yeah,
Occasionally, we'll congratulate you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, that's an excellent point to bring up, and that's something I definitely will look a little bit more into. Thanks for opening my eyes to that, for sure.
Well, thanks to Chris Vitality and John Flaherty.
Yeah, for sure.
Tats,
You know,
what's your
but
opinion about it?
look,
And
you know,
I'm turning it back to
sometimes
you.
old school could be the best school. And I just think that our older generation, like our older eyes, maybe a kid in high school looks at it differently than we do. As far as like with the knee or not, I think look, as long as you're able, if you're able to stay fluid behind the plate, crouching down and able to shift, as I know they try to. From what I understand, the one knee was really implemented more, for durability. Because the knees can, your knees take a beat and crouching down all day. Just like some people after sitting for a while, you get that little lower back, twinge, and whatnot. Sometimes it's more to keep them available long term. But if it's really hindering the effectiveness of that catcher, then that's not the stance for them. Let them go a little more natural. Or if they're trying to do a traditional stance, maybe let that guy take the knee. But as long as they're being effective behind the plate, I don't think it really matters. It's just I'm more. I don't even notice it anymore. Like how they're standing.
Hmm.
I'm more focused
Yeah.
on like, all right, where they have the glove positioned, but also who's on the mound. The pitchers have to be, just as guilty of the wild. We say, with a pass ball or a wild pitch, you know, that's a shared blame because the pitcher could only, if he's not throwing it to the glove, well, it's not the catcher's fault. The catcher's not catching the ball because it's all over the place. That's the pitcher's fault. So it's really a shared responsibility as far as pitching and catching. And that's why we always say, when you see a no hitter or a perfect game, the first person that's there is the catcher. We all see the infamous picture with Lawson and Berra. You
Hmm.
know, then the team comes into the celebration because it's as much as the catcher's achievement as it is the pitcher. So especially before the pitch come, when you really had to work with the pitching, putting the fingers down, there's a runner on memorizing every sequence of pitches for every pitcher. The catching is it's I think it's one of the most underrated positions. We always talk
Exactly.
about the importance of a shortstop or first baseman. The catcher is kind of like gone to the wayside where nobody. It's like they're a dime a dozen, but they're really not.
Yep.
Look at how the Yankees have been struggling for a catcher for how long. We don't have the the Posadas and the Girardis behind the plate anymore. You know,
Right.
we thought we had it with Sanchez, but unfortunately that was a failed experiment. You know, and Wells can be that. You know, I still think the book is wide open for him to be one of, you know, that guy that we look back on and be like, wow, you know, we were thankful that he was on our team. You know, so I think that's why I really want to see Wells get more of the play time, because Trevino's just here just for a little while,
Yeah.
not the long run.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Because I mean, obviously Wells is going to be the long term guy, and the more work we can get with him, and the more he can learn from Trevino is going to be really impactful, you know, for his development. And of course, he's exciting because he's got some pop, and he's really started to develop defensively. And with catcher being the number one most valuable defensive position in baseball, he's definitely going to need more development with it too. So I'm just excited to see where
Yeah.
he is and how he continues to develop this season for sure.
Yeah, and what's great is that the team has really the front office, I should say, has really built a bench of catchers, which it was nice to see, to your point, Tats, about them being so underrated, and in many ways the unsung heroes of many games, not even
Yep.
just the no hitters. That it's good to see that we have some depth that we might have to pivot to sooner than later. And after I was done swearing yesterday, I had to remind myself, so I should say 3 hours later, I had to remind myself that Trevi's coming back from an injury, a long-term injury, and maybe he's just not quite ready yet. And I just hope, like we are always saying about the medical squad there, I just hope they're keeping an eye out for him in that regard. So good. I feel good that we talked about catchers. We shouted them out. We're supporting the cape that they wear.
Well, just another prop for the credit to the catcher. Look at it. He also has to be able to see. He's also reading the defensive alignments all over the field, especially on the infield with second base and shortstop.
Yeah.
Especially when you have traffic on.
Yeah.
Because he has to be able to read who's standing where, who's he, with stolen bases.
Yeah.
Or pick what, a pick off at first base. So they're involved they're involved with so much. It's almost, it's such a, to me, it's a cheesy cliche, but it's like they're the quarterback of football.
Yeah.
Because they're involved with
100%.
everything.
Yeah, they really are like that's a great analogy, or like the control tower, like incoming, go this way.
They definitely help direct the traffic around the defense so great metaphor there for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, see, I may not be a statistician, but
Me neither.
I have some skill levels. I see things a little different.
The only stat I know of is RG, really good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I going into college and stuff, I was kind of that way too, because I hate math. I mean, I hate I hated analytics. I hated numbers. And then if like up here, so I have like some of my like degrees and certificates I've got behind me, and I went to school for like an analytics degree because they were like, oh, you'll get a great job in this, right? So I know my way around the field a little bit, but that doesn't mean that I don't hate it. I would much rather just say, hey, he's really good or he's really bad. So, yeah, I see both sides of the coin there.
At the risk of being called a casual.
Yeah, it's because with analytics, because that's something we really didn't get into. I'm fascinated by it, but I don't pay attention to it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather let my eyes tell me what I'm seeing than a number on a page.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the eye test may not always tell the whole story, but it also works the other way. the analytics don't tell you the story as well.
Yeah.
So you can't rely on only one or the other. One saying I always like to throw out there is, to see the true value in something, look at both sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that really applies to everything. So for someone, you said that you really weren't, you weren't, the math was not your favorite, and then getting into analytics. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
When you look at the analytics in baseball, for not so much the casual fan, but for the fan that has not fully embraced the analytical era, guys like me, dinosaurs like me, that just, I'm stubborn about it. I don't care with F war, on until I could, unless I have I have a master in mathematics to understand how to calculate it. I'm not going to waste my time.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I just don't get it. And that's fine. I don't have to get it to love the game or to understand the play. How do you, has analytics gone too far now? Because it seems like they have, you know, a stat for everything.
Mm-hmm.
He hits 330 when he ties his right shoe first. In the morning. Like it's like, where does it end?
Yeah, and that's a great question and something I've heard come up a good bit. As I've gotten into some more analytics fueled conversations, discussions, arguments, whatever you want to call them. I've always believed that there is no perfect stat. I mean, like every stat that you look at, there is always going to be a sense of nuance where maybe maybe there's something that filters in that, okay, well, but this makes this not always the case, or there's something with this equation inside of it. There's a variable that that allows some lenience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I feel like, I mean, just from a baseball fan perspective, be a baseball fan the best way you know how to be a baseball fan. If you really want to dive into the numbers, get in arguments with people about the numbers, and you can discuss like OPS, OBP, WAR. I mean, and then you really get down in deeper into like OBA, et cetera, et cetera. Then you can do that. And if that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy. But whenever all that gets applied to like baseball, to being a baseball player, to being on a baseball team, franchise, an organization, I think that if you get too focused on the analytics, it will muddy up the field of play in front of you. So you're so focused on the numbers that you're not seeing like the full spectrum of like the game going on right before your eyes. And that's kind of the way I've always thought about it, because if you're looking at those numbers, those imperfect numbers, and
Mm-hmm.
not watching like what the reality of what's unfolding in front of you, then you're kind of missing the best part of baseball. Because like you're right, it's two sides of the coin. Uh, the best way to manage and the best way to look at measure baseball is to use the analytics, to use the math, but also pair that with common sense baseball knowledge and watching the game unfold in front of your eyes. So I think some people and maybe some teams have let it maybe run a little too far, but it all depends on their success. There's definitely a value to it. It just needs to be, filtered in the right times and looked at by the right people who make the right decisions with them, for sure. So, yeah, good question there.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, it's an integral part of the game. It's something that's just vital. Just like anything else. But it's, rather than use it as a tool, they're using it as their foundation, rather than just the your basic strategy that gets you to the major league level. And so I just well, it just gets to that point where with managing, you're seeing that with Boone. Right? When we had that season a couple years ago, where we were comparing it to the '98 Yankees, because they were just on this incredible run.
Yep.
Yeah.
You saw that Boone was not as involved with the
Mm-hmm.
game. It was more fluid, inning to inning, and now it's where you know you're seeing it again to start this year, where you're seeing him manage on his own and not standing there with the binder in his hand.
Hmm.
Where he's using more, he's managing more instinctively,
Hmm.
and not so much game plan. And that's where it kind of validates my argument.
Hmm.
Where put the book down once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they bring in a pinch hitter in a situation that you're like, well, I can't believe he's bringing this guy in. In this situation. And then you can look up real quick. Well, what did they see that we didn't? And you might look up that stat in the book.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, it's eh, there's value to both sides of it, like I said,
Mhm.
and that's one thing I've noticed as well. I mean, you don't see a lot of people kind of hovering around the iPad and the dugout so far this season. It seems like Boone's managing a little bit more instinctively with things, and that could just be his new process. I'm sure he looks at the book. I'm sure he looks at the
Oh yeah.
analytics. It has
Oh
the
yeah.
game plan and all that, but maybe he's allowing the game to be just kind of come to him a little bit more, and there's definitely value in that, because there's one thing that math can't really measure, and it's just the essence of flow, right?
Right.
I mean, it's whenever you get into this rhythm, when you have this flow, that and that's when everything seems to start going really well for your team, or really well for a player. I mean, I used to play a lot of basketball, and there'd be a lot of days where I would just be hitting shots that I would not hit anywhere else. And I mean, just crazy things would happen, right? And that's whenever you get into that whole, just that rhythm of flow with it. So
Yeah.
there's definitely value to it. And as he continues to move forward, and has as he looks at the book and has his game plans and makes his decisions. I mean, it's like, well, hell, it was the maybe like two games ago. Yeah, 2 games ago now. I mean, Boone had a great managed game that game.
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
because
Great.
he ended up managing that game, and the other manager obviously mismanaging that game, to where the last at bat was a pitcher that had never had an at bat before. For this is for the
Right.
Diamondbacks, and it was the last out of the game, and it was, hey, easy out at that point. But you look at all the numbers and think that, but there was definitely probability that that pitcher could have came in and hit a home run too,
Right.
right? That's why there's no perfect analytic, or there's no perfect statistic. There's always
Yes.
some other kind of consideration for it. But that was something I was actually really happy to see with Boone this year. I mean, he's really managing. It seems like he's managing better, and I'm really excited to see how he continues to manage throughout the season. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people people love to shoot down Boone, but I'm excited to see, now that he has this new team with this new swagger, and maybe this new process, how successful he can be.
Yeah,
And
because one of the segments that we added to our morning show, sorry, Len, is we give Boone a rating out of 10. And for the we do it at the end of each series. All right, how did he do? The Astro series, you got a 10 out of 10. Diamondbacks, 10 out of 10. The so far with the you know he's really just nailed it. Where there's really nothing to complain about.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that there were some issues that people had with, and this is just starting yesterday, where we didn't have maybe Cabrera come in and pinch hit, or like since just some players that are still hot, and this is just from the game yesterday, so there may be some knockdowns on that number, um, and but I think maybe he wasn't looking at the pad then. Maybe he was like, "Hey, let's get these other guys some run," right? So, yeah, that's a great segment. I can't wait to check that out. Actually, but kind of like what you were alluding to, Boone does seem to have changed his process a bit, and it's bringing success. So hey, any kind of success, I'm here for it.
Yep. Len?
oh, okay. So it's my turn. I just think, and this is, and Jacob, you're the one literally educated in analytics. But to me, and in my profession, analytics are there for planning forward. They inform the practices that should go forward. If I see research studies on, if I see statistics about the population of students, and it's disaggregated by all sorts of types and how they're progressing academically, there's nothing I could do about it in the moment. It doesn't help me in the moment. It helps me with my next steps on practice.
Yep.
And I think that's where the thinking is. I don't even know whether to call it upside down or backwards or inside out. Those statistics have true value for talking to the players about your whip is such and such. Let's take a look at why.
Yep.
And here's your on base percentage. Let's take a look at what led to that. How can we improve it or maintain it or sustain it and get it better? So I just think that they're using it. I think it's legit. It's a legitimate tool, but it shouldn't be the driving force of a game. It should be about developing the players in the context of baseball.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely agree with that. I mean, that's actually an interesting point you have about analytics being used to plan forward. I mean, I think that if you look at it, for you to get a number, something has to happen for that number to, become a value, right? So an at-bat has to happen before you measure it. So you're looking at the past whenever you're looking at analytics and trying to predict the future with what's happened in the past. The issue with that is that the past isn't always what's going to happen in the future. There's always other variables. Not everything's constant, right? So I mean, yeah, excellent point about that. I mean, I've always thought that, the best way to get a feel for the game is to, just watch it, play it. I mean, how I got a feel for the game was playing the game. Whenever I was younger, didn't have a dislocated ankle and all this other stuff. And now I just play beer league softball, but now it's just like, to watch the game. And then if you want, and this is just from a fan perspective, if you want to dig into maybe why something happened or what effect does that thing happen on the rest of the game, then you can dive into the analytics. But from a managing standpoint, it's hyper valuable to dive into what's been happening in the past and how can we change that for the future. What changes can we make? But if you see something in the present, the reality of what's going on, you're like, okay, well, this is telling me to do this, but I'm noticing this over here. Maybe I'll go a different direction. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that's why we pay our managers, right?
That's right. That's right. And the players are telling you what works. The minute Cole gets back to the dugout, he's reaching for the iPad while he's still going down the stairs. Mm-hmm. Right, because he wants to analyze everything that just happened.
He's that kind of guy,
and talk to literally everyone in the dugout about it. And that is analytics within a game that matters.
Yeah,
because it'll course correct. When he gets back up on the mound, and you see the batters doing the same when they come back with their iPads.
Yeah,
but it's just, I think the balance of it. I'm not dissing the merit of it. It has value, but it shouldn't inform, lineups and calls on the field, etc. Like it is. So constructing who, needs to sit and take a nap because, their numbers aren't looking as good as they did last week. Mm-hmm. So that's my little, and I still hate math and numbers.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I'll get into a big analytics discussion where I'll be in an argument with somebody, and I'm always respectful whenever I try to have this discourse with people. But it's like I'll get in an argument with somebody, and then analytics gets brought into it, and then I'm looking up all these numbers and doing my own little stuff, and then I'll get done with it. And I'm like, that didn't make me happy whatsoever. Why did I do this? Because I hate math in general. Why did I do this? I don't even know why I got in this argument, right? So, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think the other thing that gives the analytics such a bad name is the utilization of it in the debates amongst fans. Because it almost seems, sometimes you get into these debates or arguments. Sometimes they're just legitimate arguments. They just want to argue with each other. Where, you'll see they'll use the analytics to discredit the other player to
Mhm.
promote their own.
Yeah.
Where you'll see, um, think Volpe, right? Volpe and Cabrera were, so we stay with the Yankees here, because otherwise I'll be completely lost. But it's, you'll see where they're like, well, he only, Volpe only hit 209. You know, Cabrera, he hit this down in the minor leagues, but they're seeing different level pitching.
Yeah, of course.
They're not facing major league pitching, but they'll stay stubborn to their point to make their point. Meanwhile, Cabrera with Volpe, you got to look at a wider lens. He was dealing with an offense last year that was missing.
Mhm.
There was no offense, so he got stuck having to carry the weight as a rookie. And
Mhm.
we go, and because he plays shortstop, it's well, Jeter could have done it, but he's not Derek Jeter. His name's Anthony Volpe.
Yep.
You're also talking about the game was played even as little back as Jeter's era. The game was played different then.
Right.
The expectations were different, and the expectations were higher.
Yep.
And you're not always going to have those guys that can rise to the occasion their rookie year. And Volpe actually finished the year with with less errors than Jeter did his rookie year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to throw analytics into it, there's one for you.
Yeah.
Volpe had a stronger defensive year error wise than Jeter did. So
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
he's going to be better than Jeter. And that's how the debates and arguments just go completely out of whack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, well, I mean, that's why Volpe. I mean, he won a Gold Glove. I mean, and you look at defensive
Yeah.
runs saved, and in the American League, he was number two. I don't want to say the name of who was number one because he's not in the game anymore, but he was the number two shortstop in defensive runs saved, and for a rookie to win the Gold Glove, and he still had a 2020 season. Of course, his batting average didn't look great, but to see the positives, that there's potential with that player. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that the Yankees have, kind of doubled down. And now we're seeing the dividends being paid of that. He's adjusted his process, he's adjusted his approach. I mean, he is an OBP machine so far this season. I've always been an Anthony Volpe supporter. I love watching him.
Yeah.
And because he just to sound like an old head myself, he plays the game the right way, right? He's a joy to watch because he's playing the game the right way.
Right.
And kind of like you said, Tats, whenever you're comparing to eras, or I mean, to compare a player to Derek Jeter is just like, it's not too far gone to compare me to Derek Jeter, right? I mean, you just
Yeah.
don't do it, right? So
Right.
especially when you have a rookie coming up that is obviously way better at baseball than I am, or just the normal fan, but there's just such a big gap and such a longevity of a career there. And then you get into the issue of, well, Derek Jeter was doing this at his time. It's so difficult to compare eras of players because, just like you said, there's different things that were measured on, different expectations,
Yeah.
and so that's why whenever I'm starting to think of players and comparing them to historical figures and all that, you really just have to kind of step back and say, it's like, well, the game's played this way now. This is how they're being measured. This is the subset of things that the basic major leaguer is measured on. Uh, let's look at what's happening now and then forward to the future and appreciate the past and say, like, yeah, Derek Jeter did this. He had these great plays. He was super clutch. But let's see, what Anthony Volpe has in the tank and what he can provide for us. So that's why I'm so excited just to see how he's evolved his game, his swing, his approach, and it's been definitely a joy to watch so far this season with him.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to just, hey, Donnie, I see your comment about Volpe and Jeter. Agreed. Volpe will never be Derek Jeter. Volpe is Volpe, and Jeter is Jeter, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the point. And but for your next comment, Jeter is once in a lifetime. Then we should just pack up all our toys and go home. Volpe, we we don't know what Volpe's star path is going to look like. And he is he has the starting of being another homegrown player, just like Jeter. And no one should be expecting him to be Jeter, but he could be the best Anthony Volpe. And 20 years from now, other people will be sitting in these chairs or in these chats saying the same about that Volpe was once in a lifetime. So I think we gotta. I think that kind of has to be balanced out a little bit. But I mean, we shouldn't be comparing because Volpe's only just begun, and what we've seen is pretty damn good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been night and day with his OPP from this season to last season. He is getting on base, and as they say in one of my favorite movies, Moneyball, he gets on base. That's what matters right now, right? So
Yeah.
it's good to see.
Exactly.
Moneyball, that was like a horror movie for me.
Oh my god! And then of course it's opposite Major League.
Oh yeah, yeah, love it.
Damn it, they got on base. Yeah. Okay, Donnie. Good to see you coming a little bit back to yeah. All right, I'll take those numbers. Yep, I'll ride that train.
And then just real quick, Mike Perez, we saw your donation come through. We appreciate you for that. And as much as we are enjoying and getting kind of lost into this discussion, which is great. Jacob, you got your conversation has been phenomenal. But we are running a fundraiser for Parkinson's Awareness Month for April. You see the ticker on the bottom of the screen to donate directly to the World Parkinson's Coalition. I know D-Rod sent a donation directly to them on our behalf. We appreciate you for that as well. So you can also hit us up on the Super Chat or the QR code on the top of the screen to send us on the Buy Me a Coffee link. And let me tell you, we're getting there are donations coming in from all angles. And thank you to everybody that has helped out the cause. You'll see, we're also seeing, we're putting up on the screen. I'm already starting to lose my voice, but you'll see we'll be putting stats and other links because there was also on the 23rd of April in Times it was Central Park.
Central
is
Park.
The March for Parkinson's. And so that's also the charity run.
Yep. Yeah, you live in the tri-state area. Park is beautiful in the spring. So go get some pledges and do the walk if you can.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, thanks for having me on here. It's definitely a great cause that we're doing this for. And after I get off here, I'm going to donate $100 myself. Just for you guys doing the cause, right? So I really do appreciate you having me on here to help out and talk Yankees ball, and I'm always down to help a good cause. So it's going to be I wish you guys the greatest success with that for sure.
We've been very thankful for all the the content creators that have given their time for us today. And bringing some great discussions, some different points of view. And really just show how strong the Yankee community really is. We don't all just jump and hate on each other and jump at each other's throats. We have a reputation of being just such a toxic fan base. Yeah. And the response for today has just they could take that narrative and kick rocks with it because this has been this. You're kicking off part 2 with us. We ended part 1. We had Pete Simonetti from NYU, who's always, his schedule is so chaotic. We had NFV from the Strike Force from YouTube. We have, Chris Vitale's coming, closing it out with us, from Ball 9. So, who else did we had? No Crying in Baseball.
Yep.
They were the guests that kicked it off. We've had so many channels come, and there's still more to come. Morning Brew Sports is going to be hanging out with us later on. Mike Mazza from the Fortrain Express. Jason from 161 River Avenue. So,
It's been
we will be
incredible.
here. We will be live until 8 p.m.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah,
is
good
been a
luck.
grind.
Yeah, best of luck to you. Drink some water. You'll probably
At
need
least-
some warm
No,
tea.
I got my water.
Yeah,
Not a dance marathon.
It's like you'll
oh,
see. I'll go off screen for a second just to kind of stretch.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
I'll take my turn. But if everyone listening, if you are on Twitter, make sure that you put in your join request for the Yankees Twitter community, which Jacob
Yes.
is a leader of, and such great content and a great way to engage with with people in a very focused environment instead of trying to find each other in the wider world on your feed.
Yeah.
It's a perfect place for Yankee faces fans to congregate. And
Yeah.
Jacob, can't thank you enough.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and hey, if you put in your request, I will probably be the one that will personally look at your profile just to make sure you're not a bot. And yeah, that's one thing. I mean, hey, if you post in Yankees Twitter, pretty much everything, there's no replies from those bots, trying to get you to go to their bio, right?
Yes, that's
So,
a big thing.
yeah, so you can you can rest assured with that. That's one of the big things that we really try to spearhead with the Yankees Twitter community, and we have a lot of great things coming with merch drops. We have more sponsorships coming. We have friends at the stadium that are helping us out with stuff. We have free tickets that are coming, and we're doing a lot of work with the engineers, the computer engineers at Twitter themselves. That are helping out our community, adding new features that is only for our community so far. So a lot of beta testing for us. So yeah, big shout out to NB for helping us out with a lot of that stuff. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of great things coming. Can't wait to see you guys there. And like I said, I just couldn't be any more happy to be here sharing this with you guys. And once I get off here, I'll give my donation for that, and I'll support you along the way. I'll share away.
Yeah.
So much
No, it's not.
appreciated.
Yeah, it's not Polish water at 80 proof.
Yeah.
No, he wishes.
I would really have no voice.
And Jacob, your time was donation enough, and the fact that you're going to donate after this, it means a lot and says a lot about you. So thank you so much.
No worries. No worries at all. Yeah, couldn't be happier to do it.
Great.
Yeah, we continue to look forward to the interactions on social media, because and it's a big testament to you and your team, because you actually, it is a very positive place to go. It's not always a safe space, but because it can be toxic.
That's what the moderators are there for.
Exactly. But no, you run a phenomenal community, and it's even since the last couple of months, the way it's grown. The other thing that's you're expecting to go to grow this year is the optimism within the team itself. So what's that optimistic thing that you're really looking forward to this year?
Well, yeah. I mean, from an optimistic thing, I mean, I'm ready to get back to the postseason, right? I'm ready to see some more Yankees postseason baseball. From an optimism from the fan base, it's been refreshing to hear everybody so energized about the season, and it's funny too, because you have those people that will always complain and always find something to complain about. And whenever we were 5-0, I was actually like just looking through Twitter just to see if I could find, and they had never been more quiet, and that was nice. So I'm looking forward to that from an optimistic point of view, of just more silence from that side and just people appreciating the team and their efforts and what we're building here. I mean, there's going to be bumps in the road. I mean, we've hit a couple already with 2 losses, but like I said in the beginning, I think we all would have signed up for 6-2 a couple months ago, and it's going to be quite the ride as this team continues to evolve and go for the chase for 28.
Yeah, I think that's the the one thing I would really what I really want to do is just get back to the obviously the World Series, that's a given, right? What fan doesn't want that should be the goal, but sometimes you have to be a little realistic. I think so. I think because of the loss of Cole for this time, it kind of took a little while, but it forced me to kind of curb my expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Just get rid of, just wipe the dirt off of not making the postseason last year. Just get back to the postseason. This way, I'll feel as a fan that you guys look. That was just a hiccup. Within one off season, we're back on track, and we're a postseason threat again.
Yep.
Like that's my expectation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just being that team that hits the postseason every year has kind of been the Yankee way, and having the ultimate goal of winning the World Series is. I mean, that's what we're all here for, right? So just being that postseason threat, being the New York Yankees again, is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. But yeah, like we said, we really appreciate we value your time. So unless you still have time to hang out, we're not going to kick you out. But if you do have to go, just let us know and we'll give you a proper sign off. But
yeah, for sure. I was actually just getting ready. I gotta get ready to go now. So that's perfect transition there.
Well, listen, thanks again for hanging out with us.
Thanks so much, Jacob.
But you were solid. You're a good follow. You're a great follow. And again, for giving us some of your time today for the organization, it's thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Like I said, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invite, for allowing me the opportunity to come and talk to you guys. Especially with this great cause supporting it, and I can't wait to see what you guys do more in the future. Can't wait to interact with you a little bit more, and I'll just be supporting from the sidelines for you guys, and had a lot of fun. So thanks everybody in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of people saying Jacob, so that makes me happy. But all that kind of stuff. But I'll see you guys in the internet spheres, Twitter spheres, whatever you want to call it. And good luck with everything. You're doing a great thing here.
I'll be reaching out for the upper deck soon, Jacob.
All right, sounds good. All right, you have a great rest of your day.
Take care.
All righty, bye-bye.
Bye.
No, listen, we have had a great run of guests, and we are not done yet. So just give me a second to clear my throat. But this really has been very successful so far, I believe. And with Jacob and Pete, NFE, my God, it slipped my head again.
No Crying
The
in
No
Baseball.
Crying in Baseball podcast. The ladies from that, they have been, it's been something else. The chat, you guys are killing it. I appreciate every single one of you. The donations, they're pouring in. Mike, thanks for hanging out. And again, Mike, thanks for your donation. Have a safe flight. I know Jonathan's on vacation. He's been checking in. So we always appreciate guys like Jonathan. And you heard us reference a lot with how our shows are running. Obviously, some of you that are here already know. But for those who do not and are going to be listening after the fact, this is a live fundraiser for Parkinson's Awareness Month. And we've been, we got the ticker on the bottom. So anybody that wants to send a donation directly to them, or you can also put in a super chat, or you can hit the QVC, the code on the top, scan that, send us a coffee. And we do go live a lot on this channel. So before we bring up our next guest, who is ready to go, we do go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings at 10 a.m. And of course, Lynn and the women's show, The Upper Deck, on Sundays at 11. So with that being said, to give my voice just a couple extra seconds to relax, let's bring up our next guest so he can introduce himself and his platform. Chris, how is everything going?
Hey guys, Bobby, what's up, Lynn?
Hey.
Doing well, right? I co-host Talking Rivals with Patrick Trotty. We cover the Yankees, the Red Sox, and we get into all of Major League Baseball as well. We basically we're a once a week. We usually come out about Monday or Tuesdays with our episode, kind of recap the week before, preview the week coming up. We've been doing this we're coming up to our 3rd year anniversary. So we're coming up to like our 150th episode. So
Wow,
yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Talking baseball is easy. I could do it every day.
Yeah.
I know you guys do a daily podcast, Tats, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. And if you guys want to check us out, it's at Talking Rivals. Look us up anywhere on all the channels you get your podcasts at, Apple, Google, all that stuff. So, but I'm really glad to be here, especially because it's for a great cause, and to talk to you guys. I could talk to you guys any day, so I'm always up for anything you guys are up
for. Well, yeah, we interact quite often.
Yeah.
Now, we've been getting a lot of opinions on the start of the year, whether it's on the pitching side, the hitting side. So we're going to throw a little something different at you. What are you seeing from the Yankees that has been a positive or any negatives you're seeing on the defense?
On the defense, you know what? You got to love the defense. You got to love every aspect of the team right now, right? You got to love the defense. They're playing much better than what we've seen, especially having a legit outfield now, right? We got Verdugo in left. We haven't had a good left fielder in a few years, so that makes a big difference. But also too, I mean, I know Judge is okay in center. He's not a great center fielder. Let's be honest. I mean, I'd rather have Dominguez out there, or even Grisham. Obviously, would be really great out there every game. But to me, the outfield is going to be great defensively once Dominguez comes back, because then you can move Judge back to right and really start to, maybe put Soto at DH and Judge, alternate back and forth. So you could keep Judge out of center. Yeah, I think defensively, I know you guys, we were talking, I was listening a little bit. You guys brought up Trevino. Yeah, he has looked a little rough so far, but just like with with guys starting slow at the plate, maybe he's starting slow behind the plate as well, at the plate, I should say. We see guys start off slow offensively. Maybe defensively, he's a little rusty because he was out a lot last year. Maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not ready to give up on him yet, obviously. So listen, and between him and Wells, we're okay, I think, at catcher. And anything he can, and you guys brought this up too, anything that he could help Wells at, and teach him anything at all behind the plate, I think is a plus. So right now, I mean, outside of guys starting off slow, there's really no negatives. I mean, you want to add, we've talked about Stanton enough, right? I mean, we know Stanton is what he is. I don't think there's any way of getting around it. And unfortunately, he's stuck here, right? Because of his contract. They're not going to eat $100 million or whatever it is of his contract. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know who said so, with Soto at DH, but I don't think that's an option. Look, the guy plays, he played 162 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the outfield.
Yep.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And I know it's a very scary term to use with the Yankees, but they're always breaking something.
Yeah.
I could see if they really we're in a crunch with how to align the offense. I think they would move Judge to more of a DH role before anybody else.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's going to be like an alternating thing. I'm not saying Soto's going to be the everyday DH. I'm not saying that at all. I'm going to say, eventually you'll see Soto and Judge, play a little bit more DH once Dominguez, and that's assuming when Dominguez returns, he's fine to play center. Verdugo is fine. No one else gets hurt. Grisham is here too. Yeah. That's assuming, the best position that we have a problem where we got to start moving guys around and stuff. But definitely. But I think Judge is the better right fielder than Soto. Like if you're looking at both players, I think Judge is the better right fielder. But like you said, yeah, you'd like to put Judge as the DH more because he's a little bit older, obviously, bigger guy. You want to get him off the field as much as you can. So, but yeah, I don't think I don't think Soto's going to be an everyday DH. So that's not what I was trying to say at all.
Yeah, no, it got exact. No, I put it that way.
Yeah,
because more like an inside morning show thing.
Yeah, no,
You know,
definitely.
we were messing with somebody one day and said, "Well, just put him at DH," because you know,
Yeah.
and this person just went completely just like lost his mind about it.
And we
So
know
once whenever it
putting
comes
Stanton,
up, we're always like, "Soto with DH."
uh, and we know putting Stanton at DH was such a great idea, right? So
Oh, don't even get me
Oh
started with
yeah, we
yeah,
Stanton.
let's
talked
not get
about
into
that.
that.
Yeah. And I'm the biggest Stanton lover I
I
know.
love Stanton too. I
I
if
Yeah,
still
it,
buy
yeah,
him,
you know, I
but
yeah,
try
you can't
standing
root
up for
against
him
him.
as much as I can. I just can't do it anymore.
I know.
I really can't.
no,
Just because you know, just because you held yourself accountable in front of the media, well, that bank is dry.
Right.
right,
And you know
right,
what? The sad part is, like, when the trade first happened, it looked like a no-brainer, great trade by the Yankees, right? We gave up hardly anything for the guy. This looked great. He was coming off an MVP season, hitting 59 home runs. So yeah, I mean, the trade on paper it looked great, but everything after it and any move that they didn't make because they got Stanton, right? Not getting Harper, not getting Machado, all these we can, there's a
right,
whole list of names. That's the negative part of getting Stanton. So, and it's sad because now we're stuck with a guy who he's a DH, he can't play the field, and now he can't hit. So we're like,
right, right.
what do we have?
And it was so encouraging to see him come back, having worked hard and,
Yep.
slimmed down and clearly, and reportedly, lost a lot of muscle mass.
Right.
I think, with the obvious thought of, better agility and movement. Um, and yeah, so he could get to first in, under, 5 minutes now.
Right.
But
He's a
that,
speed demon now.
yeah. Um, but other than that, so moving better, but um, not exactly going to be stealing the bags if he even gets on the bags.
Yeah.
So um, can't even draw a walk.
Right.
So yeah, it's sad to see because we know the greatness that was in him at one time.
And you love his attitude too. Like he takes it
Yeah,
all. Like he doesn't back down from anything. He knows he's struggling. I mean, he's said
right.
it so many times, and he knows he's got to get better. And like you said, he's worked hard. He's lost a little bit of weight, and it's still not working. I mean, I personally like just looking at him, and it's painful to watch. I hate his batting stance. I just hate it, and it looks like
Yeah,
like he's late on everything. So like
yeah.
and I know at least I have an idea of why he doesn't want to change is because remember he got hit in the face a few
That's
years
right.
ago.
That's right.
So
Yep.
he might be still like it might be in the back of his head. That might have messed him up. And you could tell he's guarding when he's up there, like he's
Well,
trying
yeah.
to guard
He's
his
standing
face. And
straight.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know. It's not a comfortable at bat to watch when he's batting.
no, no. And I see a lot of the expected comments about he's being paid, what he's being paid, and
Yeah,
yeah, hey CWE, yep, being paid like a superstar because he had
he
the
was.
makings. He was a superstar
Yeah.
when he was brought over, so he got paid and so we could regret it in hindsight, but at the time, there wasn't anyone complaining about bringing him on.
No, like I said,
So
the trade itself, when it first happened, it looked like and it's still on paper is a great deal. I mean, we
yeah,
hardly gave up
yeah,
anything for him,
right. That's
and if
true.
he was
It's
still
really
an okay hitter, the price for him wouldn't be that bad. Like 20 something million dollars is really, not that bad for a guy who could hit 30 something home runs a year. So
right, right. And NFL diver, yeah, you have. I've been on all of them. And I mean, I
why
don't know
not?
if he wears contacts, but
Right.
sure.
Exactly.
Um, sure. It could be that. I mean, and to what Chris was just saying, he did have a head trauma thing going on potentially when he got hit in the face. Um, and we know that there's no true concussion protocol that's been in place exactly. So wondering if there's any after effects from that. We could speculate, but something went awry. And you have to really wonder what, when it's so clear how hard he worked physically over the winter. Um, and when he said it at the end of the last game, that he knows he has a lot of work to do and he's going to start right away. It's clear that he did. What
Yeah.
else could this guy do? And the same with Sevi. Sevi and Stanton are the same to me in that way.
Yeah.
They had to answer the same way all the time, but you believed them. They were trying to figure it out and get things going again, and so accountable about it. And but all of that and a Metro card will get you across town. So
Right.
um, and so and that's me being a little cold hearted.
Yeah.
I'm really
No, but
not.
it's the truth though. It's great. They all say that they're saying that, the right things out there, that, oh, I worked hard. I, got rid of this. But yeah, but baseball is a results business, right? And if they're not, if they're not producing, then, you're not good anymore. But unfortunately, Stanton's contract is going to keep him here for a while. I mean, I don't see the Yankees eating like $100 million. And I think if they cut him, let's just say if they do, the money that the Marlins were kicking in at the end, I think, and it's only like $30 million. It's like $10 million the last 3 years of the deal. If they cut him, that money goes away too. So then the Yankees would owe that money as well. So it's kind of frustrating, and I'm sure the Yankees are like, what can we do? We're gonna have to bury him on the bench. He's gonna be a guy that, yeah, when there's a left-handed starter, maybe we'll throw him in as the DH,
Right.
and maybe he'll run into one and hit one
Right.
over the fence, and that's it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's taking a seat from someone we could be bringing up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm seeing a lot in the chat about when Dominguez gets back, he's going to be the DH, etc. And I think we've been well experienced with our expectations not being met. And so let's hope he's still a Martian from outer space when he comes back. But that's a hell of an surgery and recovery. So we're just gonna have to see.
Yeah.
Donnie wants to know if you had to walk the mascot, Uncle Tad.
But no, I want to say dog sitting. It's my dog, but my wife had to run out for a few hours, so we had to go over a couple of things.
Yeah.
So
Watch the baby.
Yeah, and she's when she first gets in the room, she wants to look at it and sniff everything. At 15 weeks old, but how babies could be.
Oh yeah.
But no, and look, all this talk with Stanton, it's. I think Stanton is his health has been the biggest catalyst with how he's perceived.
Yeah.
Because if he was healthy and just not being productive, I think the narrative changes. But it's more so, we're waiting for the hammer to drop where if he's going to run, is he going to get hurt? I don't know if that's in the back of his mind, and, we brushed on it briefly with Pete when he was on with us. I think that when I saw him run out that double, out the double, I thought that would have been that catalyst to kind of, all right, that self, perseverance where he's like, I can still do this, but he's reverted back to so many bad habits.
Right.
You can't hit a pitch that's in the opposite batter's box.
Right.
So it's not like he's just getting out pitched. He's getting himself out. And that's where, and your only job at this point, because you're not on the field, is to hit the ball. And if you can't do that anymore, then what good are you?
Right. Yeah, I agree. And he's probably over anxious. He's probably, trying to, crush every single ball because he wants to prove, everybody wrong. He wants to prove like, hey, listen, I'm back. I'm Stanton. I'm the guy that you knew a couple of years ago, before the All-Star break. It's been, I think, what is it, since 2022, since that All-Star break. since then, he's been the guy we see now.
He's been hitting
right?
he's hit 180 since July 2022.
Oh, it's so bad, and like I said, there's
Which is
nothing.
why, but that's why I can't defend him anymore.
No.
Like we were just talking about all, how with analytics with Jacob from Yankees Twitter, and but that's where it gets into that on that where 180 since July 2022, the numbers aren't lying anymore.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how else to defend him because he's not contributing.
Right.
Maybe drop him in a lineup. Maybe bat him, seventh or eighth. Just look, we don't want to take you off this team because when you get hot, you're valuable. But you're not hot right now to be batting fourth every day. Put somebody else up in that spot that can actually keep the line moving.
Right.
Because it's like that dead spot in the lineup right now that we can't afford to have because other players are starting to get, now that they're relaxed, they're past the, I don't know, she's a pain in the ass.
I love it. I love it.
I'll pick her up.
I have dogs myself, so I know exactly what you're going through.
Cats, pick her up. We want to see her anyway.
Yeah.
She picked her up. Jeez.
She should be part of the show.
I bet there'll be a couple of super chats if you show them.
Definitely. I think so. You know what? It's sad. I mean, there's no way he should be batting cleanup. And you know why, too? Not just because he's a dead spot, but he's also not protecting Judge, right? When Judge comes up, he walked twice yesterday. Teams are just gonna walk him if he's got Stanton behind him.
Yeah.
Right. Judge is not going to see a pitch. So I think that's another big reason why they should get him out of the cleanup spot. I just think, like you said, bat him like seventh, eighth, somewhere down there. And when he heats up, then move him up. But until then, no, I would bat him on the bottom of the batting order or not at all and let him try to figure it out. If not, you're going to end up being the last guy on the bench. Yeah. And, you're going to bat sometimes against a left-handed starter, maybe a pinch hitter once in a while, but that's about it.
Yeah. And sad to see, and when he's relegated to that, he's again to the point about he played better when he was playing both offense and defense. He's going to have neither, really. There she is.
Definitely not a puppy anymore.
Oh my gosh, how she's grown.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all she wanted.
Yeah, she's at 15 weeks right now, but she's about 38 pounds.
Nice. Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow. Aw.
Yeah, Donnie, you're right.
Oh, you want to say something?
Yeah, enjoy. You know what? Enjoy her on your lap now, right? Because in probably a few more months, I don't think you'll be able to do that.
But she'll probably always think that she could fit, and she'll try.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like Joe says, 38 going on 150. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for she's pretty good though. She's good.
Good.
Yeah,
she wants to go outside though, but that's not an option right now. But
so I know you guys were talking about the baseball and the pitcher injuries too, and with the pitch clock. Someone brought it up on Twitter. Ballpark Buzz. He's a great follow, baseball guy. He brought up like maybe it's the pitching labs that these pitchers are going to because they're trying to get maximum velocity, maximum performance out of the pitcher, right? So Shane Bieber was one of them. He went there and he got a couple of miles per hour on his fastball, and now he's hurt. So maybe that has some. I mean, it's these high velocity pitchers that are getting the injuries. So maybe that's something that they could look to also, because I look at it this way: the pitch clock. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. I mean, they've already took a couple of seconds away from it. I think they should add seconds. I agree with that, but I don't think they're going to get away from it. And I think the pitch clock kind of replicates how the game was played, say 40 years ago, and beyond, and those guys just got the ball and said, okay, let's go. And the batters stayed in the box. They didn't step out and, adjust everything that was on their body and then got back into the box. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think the pitchers got to do a better. They have to figure out and they have to adjust better to this pitch clock. And I think the younger guys will, because while they were going through the minors, they had the pitch clock, right, for a couple of years. So a lot of these younger guys should be better. It's the, maybe the veterans that didn't get that, that kind of practice already are having a problem adjusting. I don't know.
Yeah, you're still seeing a lot of younger pitchers still, they're getting hurt just as much as the veterans.
Yeah.
So where I don't think it's so much, with the experience, and how, these older guys are trying to just keep up with the times. But that's where the pitch clock is an issue, because the pitch clock started with them in the minor leagues, and in the independent leagues. So there's no exact science to why so many pitchers are getting hurt, but I think the analysis of it has to start with the pitch clock.
I think that, listen, I'm all for it. So I'm agreeing with you at all. I'm just saying that there's other things that they could look at too, because I'll be honest, I love the results of the pitch clock. I hate the pitch clock, but I like the results of it because it's the pace of the game is better. You don't have that, the time lapse in between each pitch was like crazy for a while. But so I do like the results of it. I hate that we have to have it. So maybe, like you said, maybe add a couple of seconds to it. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. But they took seconds away, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, we have to wait for another arbitration, contract negotiation for that, right?
No, that's where it gets much. The pitch clock is rearing its ugly head in the health department, so they sped it up even more. It's like, why are they not seeing it? And one of the comments that I made earlier was how, they wanted to speed up the game, and that, but they also want to, you can't preach health and then rush everybody along.
Right.
Throwing the pitch is not a natural motion for your arm, and now you're rushing these guys through it. And it wasn't early. It was on another stream that I brought this up. Why do we think we're also seeing so many hit by pitches this year? So now you have another factor coming in, because you have guys that, I think we got 3 or 4 guys that are out for the year throughout the league because they got hit in the hand.
Mm.
Yeah.
So like these pitching is an art, and being an athlete, when you're at a major league level of any sport, you have a craft, you have an art to it, and they always say you can't rush art. Like that tattoo saying, a good tattoo isn't cheap, and a cheap tattoo ain't good. So it comes to, I deal with this all the time, Chris.
I like that. I like that.
So it's that's where, how do you, there's no solution to it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And there's going to be no easy solution to this, right? Because if they get rid of the pitch clock, or if they add more I think the best thing is go back to what it was last year, at least, and see. But this is only the second year that the pitch clock is out. So I'm sure Mitt is going to say, well, let's give it a few years and let's try to, we'll accumulate the data and see what, and then they'll make a change. But I don't know if they're going to make a big change yet. I think they'll give it another year or two before they say, okay, there were this many more Tommy John surgeries compared to before the pitch clock or something, So I don't know. It's to me, I think a lot of it has to do with the velocity, because these guys are all throwing almost triple digits now. A guy throwing 95 is no big deal anymore, right? It used to be, wow, this guy could throw 95. Now that's probably below average.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe the arms can't handle throwing 100 miles an hour. But then you have a guy like Verlander, who's been around forever, throwing 100. And, he just got hurt recently, but
yeah.
I didn't say it caught up to him, but
eventually, right?
The pitch clock was supposed to, it was supposed to speed, the intent was to speed the game along. And, and I was a big proponent of it. I really did not, one of the arguments of why I always thought baseball was the best sport ever, because there's no clock.
Right.
You don't know when it's going to end. And everyone's like, well, it's taking up my whole day. Well,
Oh,
Whoop,
we're breaking up.
whoop. Houston, we have a problem. Chats? You with us, Tats?
He's
Oh,
on
you
mute.
went on. Yeah, you went on mute. Okay. So some technical difficulties.
Sorry,
Yeah.
There
she's
we go.
getting
There you
mad that I'm not paying attention, so she's pulling on all the cords.
You got to put it right in the chair right next to you, I think.
So
Jeez.
no, because then she'll never get off our furniture. But
That's true. That's true.
Just I'll make my point, and then I'll take care of, try to wear her out a little bit. But look, if they wanted to speed up the game, but the way I always looked at it, well, if you're going to keep raising my tickets because you need to take care of the salary, right, of everybody from the players to the vendors, everybody's got to get paid, and you need money to get paid, so if I'm going to pay premium price, don't rush me out. You're gonna don't make me spend more to get less.
Yeah,
because that's not going to make me a happy customer.
Right.
Which is why, as much as I went to a lot of, more games than I usually do last year, this year, probably not so much, because look, don't rip me off.
Right.
Because I'm not even getting, and not like last year was the best season to go to a couple extra games, but there's got to be that line drawn in the sand from the fans to be like, look, don't, if you want to rush this out, pick one or the other. You want to speed up the game, or do you want to charge me more?
Right.
Because I think that's also, they want to grow the game. Look, the casual fans are not going because they just, they don't want to go. The
Right.
diehards, you see the attendance records. Fans are showing up at these games. So I don't want to hear that, you want to expand the audience, but you're not even giving the audience a premium product. Because you get stuck with a bunch of minor leaguers because you're rushing the game along and players are getting hurt. So you have this constant carousel of bullshit, and as long as the money's being made, Manfred's just going to look the other way. I think he's worse than freaking Selig was. And Selig was no prize. Manfred is probably going to go down as probably one of the worst GMs and worst commissioners in sports.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Wow. Is there a Hall of Fame for that?
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. Right?
Well, every
Selig
commissioner gets in. I think that's kind of like their perk, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'll build a Hall of Shame.
There you go. I like that better.
Next fundraiser.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. And I'm going to go take care of the pooch, and I will be back in a few moments.
Okay.
So Chris, I want to talk about Talking Rivals for a minute, though, because it's not just about Yankee baseball. Talking Rivals.
Right.
So talk about who the rival is and how it all came to be.
Well, the other co-host is Patrick Trotty, and he covers the Red Sox. He's a huge Red Sox fan. We actually met through a mutual friend, and just talking. Hey, we should start a podcast, and hey, all right, let's do it. So we just started, and we basically just cover. We're not the usual Yankee Red Sox yelling at each other. Obviously, we just talk just like us. We just we definitely respect each other. So it's great talk. It's just great baseball talk. And it's just good to hear, from the other side, not just about his team, but excuse me, he also talks a lot about the Yankees as well. Like he'll ask me questions and he'll be like, oh, well, what about this? And so that's why I love talking about it, because you could also get someone else's opinion from technically the other side.
Right.
of the rivals. So we have great conversations. So you can imagine, obviously. Yeah, like I said, we're up to, I don't know, episode 140 something now. So we're getting close to 150, getting close to our 3 years together. So it's been, I mean, I can't tell you how much fun we've had doing it. I look forward to it every week. And he's a great follow, and he's also a great author. So if anybody loves to read, definitely check out Patrick Trotty. Look on Amazon or whatever, and look for his books, because he's a fantastic author. He's not just a great co-host of a great podcast. He's also he's actually an even better author. So definitely check him out.
That's amazing, and I could vouch for your show,
Thank
and
you.
everything
I
you just
appreciate
said
that.
about it. You tell the truth, and it's I'm going to be putting it in the chat. You're on all podcast platforms,
Yeah.
or that's how people can find you on basically anything they
Yep.
listen to. And Chris, for as many times as I've typed your in since we've known each other, I always get the 7 and the P switch. So is it at C7P?
No, CP7NY. Listen,
And
that's easier than my regular app. My name it's C Pizzaia, CPIZZAIA. So I really don't want to. I try to keep it simple for people.
yeah, and yet here I am, just like 5 strokes of the key.
Yeah.
And, okay. So
I think it's CP7NY is a lot easier, because trust me, I've had.
Yeah, it should be. This is hopefully just a function of me being in this chair since 8 a.m.
Yeah, no, I would be too.
So let's just talk about who has been the most surprising for you. I'm interested in hearing this from the chat too, but who's been the best surprise so far to you on the
Well,
team?
I mean, I think it's easy, right? It's got to be Cabrera at third base. I mean, he's been great offensively, defensively. Like, we knew he could handle just about every position, right? We knew that was his great ability to be able to play all over the field. But now, if he could hit the way he's been hitting, I mean, yeah, now you want to get him into the lineup. I mean, a couple of weeks before the end of spring training, they were talking about maybe he doesn't even have a spot on the roster. I always thought he did, because he could play all positions, and that's a great, guy to have on your bench that could go in and basically play any position.
Yeah,
It was just a bat, and now look at his bat. He looks so much more confident up there, and it would be great to keep him out there. So I think he's been the biggest surprise. I think Volpe, you could see the difference in his approach at the plate. He's not trying to, crush every pitch for a home run. He's just taking what they're giving him right now. So I think his average and his on base percentage is going to go way up this year compared to last year. So,
yeah.
And you listen, the other guys that are starting off slow, like Judge. Judge had the big game against the D-backs in that last game of the series, but other than that, he's really been kind of cold, right? So you got to expect him to warm up. And Lynn, you remember Mattingly, right? Mattingly always started off like really bad in April, right? April was like he wasn't even there almost, but then May he would just
take it all that seriously back then.
Yeah.
I
So,
think April. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about the veterans. I'm not worried about Judge. I think Rizzo is going to be fine. I think all these guys, they're going to be fine. It's almost like when the weather starts warming up, then the team starts warming up, especially for, I hate to call them old, but for the older guys like Judge, I think once the weather warms up, they start to kick in gear. So I'm really not worried about those guys. Stanton is the only guy that I'm like, man, what are we going to do? Right. And we've talked about him enough. So
exactly. And CWE, the thing is, I don't know that there is a right slot for Stanton in the lineup. No. I think that's the problem. But yeah, certainly not our cleanup guy.
Definitely not fourth.
Hey Maza, and hey everyone that's joined. And so and I had a thought. Woo, just went out. So let's talk about who else surprised you, but not necessarily production wise. So we got some new guys, some of whom I'm not going to say you didn't think was a great thing right away. But was there any of the new guys brought in, known people, I should say, that you were like, why?
Well,
Were you like me?
Stroman
Yes.
is the
Okay.
big one, right?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, as long as he's not for me, like as long as he's not being asked to be your ace, I'm fine. As long as when Cole comes back, that's going to be the big question, right? I think when Stroman, I think is going to be fine. I really do. But if he's going to be your ace, then I have a problem, right? He's not going
Right.
to throw 6 innings of no run ball every single time he's out. There's
Right.
going to be some bad starts in there, but as long as he stays healthy and he gives you innings, that's all I'm worried about. The guy I still have that what if is Cole, right? Because we won't know until he starts throwing the ball, right? And we won't know that for a couple of more weeks. So what if I keep on doing this, but I'm like, what if this guy, when he starts throwing, he still has a problem with the elbow and it's still bothering him?
Right.
And then God forbid it's, I don't even want to say what could happen, right? But if he's not back for the second half of this season, yeah, then I'm really worried, right? Because we don't have, and there's nobody that could replace him. Even if Rodon starts pitching like he did a couple of years ago, he's still not what Cole gives you, right? Cole gives you that 6-7 innings, 2 runs or less every single start. Like he's just solid.
Right.
And he also gives the bullpen a break too by doing that. So we need Cole. We need Cole as Garrett Cole coming back.
Right. Right. And the fact that they pushed his timeline back a bit is, they
absolutely.
already know that, okay, don't expect him until June.
At least, yeah.
At least. And so, and then is that going to turn into after the All-Star break? Is that,
right. Yeah.
And I think you're going to that place in your head, as am I, because we've been down this road before every season in one way or another.
Right. The what if.
The team tanked last year when Judge was out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
This time it's going to be suffering until Cole gets back. The thing that was a surprise for me about Stroman is, first of all, I think he knows his place.
Right.
And that was the first relief I had, was that right away, I was already right away thinking, oh, we don't need a loud mouth, in the clubhouse. We're finally vibing in. Everyone's really excited about Soto, and so don't you dare rain on the parade that we're starting.
Right.
And the thing is, though, from Jump Street, he was 100% Yankified.
Yep.
Like, even when he's asked questions about how did you do this, or what were you thinking, that he pivots to the team right away. He starts with, like, well, he'll say, well, what I was thinking was blah, blah, blah. But it's, it's also because of the guys behind me that allowed me to, blah, 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 like, I'm like, wow, that's completely not what I expected.
Right.
So, that I think he's my biggest surprise. And, and he's just actually quite humble, compared to, I know that he has the swagger and, loves the
That's a good
camera
thing.
and all those things, but I'm actually very excited for him. And yeah, I mean, he got robbed of a win. There's no doubt about it yesterday. Those 6 immaculate innings were no joke. And you're also right that we're not going to see that all the time. But certainly in the scheme of things with what we got now,
right.
He's not exactly, I'm wondering about where he's going to fall in terms of maybe, ahead of is he already ahead of Nestor? Is it Cole, Rodon, Stroman?
Well, Cortez started the season opener.
Right.
So
I know, right. I know that there was some codes, right. So
right.
Maybe that needs to flip a little bit, because of how Nestor's doing. But what do you think of somebody that I've now dubbed Doogie Dog?
Oh, Verdugo, I guess. I like him. Listen, and getting back with Stroman, right, with the swagger. Like, I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as he's good with the team and the team is good with that, then it's fine. Like that's what they were hoping for last year with Donaldson, right? They wanted to get some kind of whatever attitude from him, and that obviously was a horrible idea, but at least here, I think between Stroman and Verdugo, you got that kind of, they got swagger. I like that. There's nothing wrong with that as long as they can back it up on the field. That was the bigger problem with Donaldson, right? He couldn't hit, so and then he got hurt or whatever. So, but I have no problem with Stroman, and like I said, as long as like you said too, as long as he knows his place, right? If he knows, hey, I'm the number 3 guy here, or I'm the number 4 guy, whatever it is, wherever he slots in, that's good. And I think yesterday showed you what he can do. Even last year, the first half, the guy was an all-star the first half of the season before he got hurt in the second half. So yeah, I don't mind Stroman at all. And I think there was an interview before, like right after he signed, an interview came out about with Tyone, because remember Jameson Tyone, he had talked about him. He's like, he's one of my favorite teammates last year. He got us all Nintendo Switches, and we were playing on the train all the time, on the plane all the time. So I have no problem with him, and Verdugo's the same way. He seems like he's a good dude. He's obviously too flashy for the Yankees with the chains.
Too flashy for Lynn.
Well, we're not used to that. I get it. So, and trust me, it is what it is. They're already telling him, all right, just 1 chain or 2, they're already limiting chains on his neck, which is ridiculous, but it's ridiculous. You have to tell the guy that, but it is what it is.
I mean, it is a little strange seeing him on the field looking like Mr. T.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And just like it doesn't, and you could see, like, I know some fans don't like the no beard rule, the facial hair or the long hair or this stuff with the chains. But when he does it, you see it. You're like, man, it doesn't look right with a Yankee player, right? With the chains, it just doesn't look right. So
it looks ridiculous.
Yeah. So I get it.
And his whatever, the professional photos they took of all the players, with the 83 chains hanging down. And I'm like, I thought I got rid of Luke Voigt. Like I
don't know how you could play with that. I don't know. Never.
No, even yesterday, I was saying earlier, I don't remember which hour it was, earlier today, but when he was running the bases yesterday with that thick gold chain, it was flapping, and I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna like break his nose with that thing. Right. I was watching it as he was running, and I'm like, now he's gonna be out on the IL.
I don't get it. I personally don't get it. I would never, even if I could afford the chains that this guy has, I wouldn't want to wear that. Like you said, it's gonna bang into your face. You're gonna get forget it. It's not worth it.
No, it isn't. Get in your way. But I guess swag is what swag does. It didn't. As long as it doesn't slow him down on the bags, I guess. But
yeah,
he's a young kid. He'll look back at this and say, "Oh boy," hopefully,
right? I'm sure
he'll have some. Oh man, that's embarrassing.
I'm sure.
Well, with the swagger on the team, look, it's something of the Yankees' identity that a lot of fans feel it's been missing. And it's understandable, but it also gives argument to guys like me that would rather have the older traditions. Mm-hmm. Where it's like it's the excessiveness of it, where it's like, see, this is what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. When it get, this is why we have these rules.
Right.
I even saw somebody. I saw there was a complaint, a comment on social media about, Stroman's do-rag. The way, I'm like, really?
Come on.
Like, even I'm going, who cares?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I totally agree. You're worried about that? Come on. That's a little ridiculous.
But at the same time, when yours, and I don't know if it's just different with sports. Like, I always look at it from any other job.
Right.
Right. I've had jobs where, I had a job I couldn't have my tattoos showing. How much clothes I had to wear?
Hey, listen, I had to shave for my job, so
yeah. You know what? If you pay me that much money, I'll wear it. I'll put my hair. Well, I don't have hair.
But you know what? But on the flip side, if wearing a dude rag, if that's going to make you pitch better, if that gives you more confidence or ease, or you're comfortable more, do it. I don't mind. Yeah, the chains I think that's ridiculous, but whatever. You know,
Yeah,
some of these guys need that to feel I don't know.
I know that's always been his thing, you know, and like you're asking somebody to, you know, look, you know, you're a Yankee now, abandon your personality. But at the same time, you know, he's only here for a year.
That too.
You know,
Right.
so he's a free agent at the end of the year. You know what? You work with, you know, I'm not worried about hurting your feelings. You have to play within our guidelines.
Right.
You know, we're here for wins, not smiles. You know, I don't care if you're miserable. Just perform on the field, because next year, you know, you come the off season, you get to audition right now on the grandest stage of them all at Yankee Stadium. You know, and it's a fall in line type of thing. You know, it just doesn't. It's a no-win argument because so many people are so divisive on it. But look, if I'm paying you that much money, you know, if somebody's paying me money, if they said right now, you know, if YouTube says, look, we don't anybody having mustaches on YouTube anymore, otherwise we're going to demonetize the channel.
Right.
All right. I mean, my wife would have an issue with it. I mean, I would have an, but you know, it may not be the best example of it. But I'm like, all right, give me a razor. You know, it's you're paying me, okay.
Exactly. You're signing my paycheck. I have no, you know, like if you're working for a company and you're getting paid, and they say, all right, listen, you can't have facial hair, right? Or you got to keep your hair short. Okay. All right. It's not the end of the world. Tattoos, it's hard because it's there. You can't trim it, right? It's not like, right. So you just got to cover up. It stinks, you know, because you got to wear maybe a long sleeve shirt when it's hot out and you don't want to, but you know, it is what it is.
Yep. Yeah. It's like we've been saying, it's a hard battle to fight on either side.
Yeah.
You know, because you're going to have old timers, and even some of the old timers are turning on it.
Yeah.
You know, let's even add to the divisiveness. You know, it's, you know, with the, you know, every team having an alternative jersey.
Ugh.
You know, or the City Connect jerseys.
Yeah.
You know, the Yankees have stood fast. I think they're one of only two teams that don't have one of those yet. And I'm like, good. I don't. Yeah, I forget. There's one other team that hasn't done it yet.
I think you're right. Yeah.
The Yankees. And I'm like, good. I don't ever want to see anything but the pinstripes on the field at Yankee Stadium. You know, that's that's where I really put my foot down. Yep. You want to have an alternate road jersey? You know, I could live with that. All right.
The only one I wouldn't mind.
But the Yankees at the same time, the Yankees at the same time don't need that money grab.
No, they don't.
To have the extra sales. They sell on their own.
Right.
You know, how many people that you'll see wearing a Yankee hat, you know, on the street?
Everywhere.
You know, it's a fashion statement. You know, they don't even know where Yankee Stadium is. They got the hat on.
Yeah. It's true. I'd say the only one I wouldn't mind them wearing as a third, like, road jersey is the ones that they wear, you know, the dark ones that they wear during spring training.
Yeah, that's like really if they had that as an alternate road jersey.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that. Right.
It's clean. It's not, you know, they're not, it's not gimmicky.
Right.
I think some of them are just too gimmicky. I don't know.
And there's nothing you could, and you know what? I'll be honest. Anything that they do for a City Connect, like if they do an extra, whatever they do is not going to be good. Like, you know that. It's just not going to be a cool jersey. Because you just, like you said, you can't change the pinstripes. It is what it is. The pinstripes are the Yankees. Keep it that way for home. Like you said, for a road jersey, yeah, if you want to wear that dark one once in a while, yeah, why not? But other than that, I would stay away from the City Connect because there's just, I don't know. Whatever they do is not going to work for the Yankees. It's just, what are you going to write? The Bronx on it or something? Or I don't know. It's just not going to be cool.
I'll tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be the skyline and the bridges and an apple floating in the sky like the sun. And with
Can't be the apple. That's the
No,
Mets.
you can't. I was just gonna say you
I
can't use
know.
the apple because the Met fans will say like you're ripping off our logo.
Yeah. Oh, they better not do
I was
that.
gonna say with
No.
the Yankee logo on it, but
Oh God,
as like a haha to them.
that would be so corny. But yeah, but you're right. You're probably
That's
right.
Taking the apple back.
But that's exactly why they won't do it, because it's corny.
Right.
It's kitschy and corny, and not New York cool and
Yeah.
chic. Although if they want to be New York cool and chic, they're not. It's not it with those road jerseys we have now.
Right.
Do we need to see that much sweat on jerseys in an inning? I don't know what they were thinking with
The new material. Yeah.
the new material. And just, how do you guys feel about going back to that look in general?
Well,
Do you
you
miss
know what?
do you miss the stripes on the sleeves and the white outline?
I like the new road jersey. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
It looks cool. It's got that classic look to it. When people are complaining about the thinness of the new jerseys,
Yeah.
the players asked for a thinner jersey, a lighter jersey. So, I mean, this is what the players wanted. I don't think they wanted it to be sweat coming through. Like,
Oh my God.
I mean, that looks awful. So they got to
if you have
figure
a white
something out.
jersey and you're sweating, it's like you're wearing a see-through shirt.
Right. I know.
Can you imagine Chapman in that jersey?
Oh,
He's sitting in the dugout. He probably sweats like that. So imagine him playing. I get it.
Yeah.
He better not wear a T-shirt with anything on it underneath, because you're going to see it go right through. So, yeah, there's something up. They got to figure it out. I don't know.
Yep.
I agree.
yeah,
I'm just glad I didn't buy the road jersey. I didn't know the new one was.
Let me ask you guys, what were your World Series predictions before the season? If you had one, I don't know.
I haven't.
I had to pick one with Patrick. I said the Yankees over the Reds. I went a little bit, not with the Yankees, but with the Reds. I figured an upstart team. They're on the upswing. I figured maybe they're gonna. So I just took a shot. Well, what do you guys? What were your thoughts?
I mean, the easy one would be Yankees Dodgers, but like Donnie's saying here. I mean, look. I think the AL is still, until proven otherwise. You have to say it goes through Houston.
Yep.
Because they're a team, when they get their pitching healthy, they can go on a run to dominate everybody.
Especially
which is why I'm glad that we started off the year the way we did, because we are already in the tiebreaker, winning all 4 games.
Yeah, that's
so
a
even
beautiful
if they
thing.
come to the Bronx and sweep us for 3, we still have that tiebreaker. But
Good point.
if I had it, and I'm gonna go Yankees Diamondbacks. I think I would like to see a repeat of that. The Diamondbacks, from what I've seen, even in those couple of games.
Yep.
And I said it earlier today. Last year, they showed that their appearance in the World Series was not a fluke.
Yep.
They are a legitimately competitive team. I think it'd be easier to predict, the LCS, matchups than the World Series. Because I can see it being Braves Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
The Braves, they have to be in a discussion.
Yeah, of course. They probably got the best team on paper. I mean,
yeah.
Unless Strider gets hurt, that's a big thing. If he's done.
Well, if Strider's done, then so are the Braves.
Yeah, that's a big blow.
That's like with us losing Cole.
Yep.
Yeah.
But an offense can carry.
Yeah, for the regular season, the playoffs. That's when it shows. But yeah, you're right.
And I still think it's going to be, the LCS for the American League is going to be Houston and the Yankees.
I hope so.
I really don't see any other teams that can really pick off, those 2 organizations. There's too much going on for them.
So let me ask you a question that I asked the ladies from No Crying in Baseball earlier. If the Yankees don't clear the division, who will take it?
My guess would be Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore looks great. I mean, they got young players coming up. I mean, they still have to bring up Jackson Holiday, right? Who's going to be phenomenal. If their pitching holds up, that's a team if the Yankees don't win it, it's going to be Baltimore. I mean, I don't know if Boston has started off really good, surprisingly. I don't know if they're going to be able to, sustain this throughout the year. Tampa Bay is always in it, no matter who they throw out there, right? No matter, we don't even know half these guys, but they're always up there. So
yeah, they're always the sleeper.
Yeah, I would go with Baltimore, and I think if the Yankees don't win the ALCS, it might even be Baltimore. This might be Baltimore's year.
And what the sad part is, it wouldn't. I don't want to say it wouldn't bother me because obviously I'm a Yankee fan. I think it would suck for it not to be the Yankees. But if you're able to put on your MLB glasses, I mean, what a great year for it really would. I think it'd be good for baseball for Baltimore, to kind of finish the job of where they left off yet last year. Because I think that, I think they just ran out of steam in the playoffs, and a lot of teams do that.
Right.
I also think that, what this reminds me of? The Royals, where they missed out on the 1 year and they went right back and they finished the job. I think Baltimore can have that same attitude about them this year. Baltimore could be a threat.
Oh, yeah.
But until they're able to, overcome, the offenses of the Yankees and the Astros, I mean, it's let's just say three-way race.
Yeah. And listen, and Baltimore's got the new owner now. So they're going to be in on free agents. They're not going to be a team that's not going to spend money. They're going to expand their payroll in the next few years because they got an owner who's a fan, kind of like Cohen with the Mets, right? This guy's got a lot of money and he's got a lot of money to burn. And now you got like this young nucleus that you could, kind of build around. Now you could cherry pick, a veteran that you need, whoever it might be. So yeah, it's a very dangerous team, and they're going to be a top team in this division for the foreseeable future. I mean, they got so many young players, and now they got money, in a new owner. So
that's right. Yep, and that makes me nervous when it comes to Soto because we can't sleep on Soto because we'll be seeing him in Camden Yards before we know it. Otherwise, for example, not to mention every other team in the MLB. But
it's possible. The team I'm obviously worried about signing him would be the Mets because think about the Mets, right? You got a team that's going to be so desperate to sign a superstar player, right? Because now, I mean, they're just a mess right now, and next year's team is going to be totally different than what we're seeing now because they have so many guys on 1-year deals. You got who knows if they're going to re-sign Alonso at this point,
right?
So they're going to need to make a big splash next offseason. And what bigger splash than is to sign Soto, and Cohen could match any offer or top any offer if he really wants to because of his money. So that's if he gets to free agency, Soto's going to get, I don't know, there was an article, right, that came out a few days ago that he was going to get like Ohtani $700 million. I don't doubt it. It's not going to shock me if he gets $700 million. It's crazy money. Like for us to think about a player making, $60 million a year, 50 million, whatever it is, it's ridiculous. But I'm not going to be shocked if Soto gets it. I mean, the guy's 26 years old. He's already a superstar. He's just starting his prime. I mean, why not? 15-year, $700 million deal, or $12 million, $700 million, whatever it's going to be. It's not going to shock me,
Yep, I'm with you on that.
The thing with the contracts is you have these situations and you're like, okay, we look at it, like look at when we gave A-Rod the contract, an exorbitant amount of money. And you look back like, wow, $25 million a year for a player ain't too bad.
It's nothing. It's nothing
so,
now.
In 10 years, we're going to look at a player getting 50 going, the next superstar is going to be, it's always going to go up.
Yep.
And like we're always saying, it's not all money.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't care. I agree with you. I love spending other people's money. So I'm with you.
and it's also the attitude about it, and it's the appeal of an organization.
Right.
You're watching Soto the last week and a half, and even through spring training. He's all in.
Yeah.
He's fully embraced what it takes to be a Yankee.
Yep.
And I think that win or lose, regardless of the outcome from yesterday, when you have, when you're a generational player, right, you're only here for a year. I don't care what name is on your jersey. You hear that roll call from the bleacher creatures. You're not getting that anywhere else.
Right.
That's something so unique to us, and it can't be duplicated. I forget which team tried doing a roll call last year or the year, and they were like, what the hell are you doing?
I think it was Texas.
Texas.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, you kind of miss. It's not the same.
No, definitely not. Definitely not the same. Totally agree.
I mean, you get into some of the traditions. I'll even like the whole throwing the ball back, on an opposing team's home run. Like that's a Cub thing. Leave it to that. That's Wrigley Field.
Right.
I know everyone. And I'll throw it back. Why? I caught it. I ain't throwing it back. If I'm at Wrigley Field, I would throw it back. That's their thing.
Right. Oh, yeah. I think if I caught a ball, I think if I didn't want to keep it, I would give it to a kid that's sitting next to me, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would throw it back either. I'm with you. I'd rather see a kid have it.
And you see Lynn here putting into the chat. We are doing a fundraiser for Parkinson's Awareness Month. You see the ticker on the bottom. So if you can make any donations, the link is in the ticker to send it to them directly. That's one option. The other option is to super chat. And the third option is to buy a coffee, which has the code on the top of your screen there.
Coffee's very easy. I did that before.
You scan the code. It was easy.
Right?
It's
so simple.
Apple Pay. If you got Apple Pay, you could pay right away. You could put whatever price you want in, $5. And listen, every amount helps, right? Because I always feel like I was thinking about this earlier with these diseases. They don't get enough attention, right? Because you always hear about AIDS, and AIDS has gotten so much more, I think money towards them. Cancer, you don't hear as much for Parkinson's until a famous person gets it, right? Michael J. Fox years ago, and he's been amazing living with it. But other than him,
a real big foundation himself,
right? Yeah. So it's I think things like this we need to do to get more attention to some of these diseases, because cancer and AIDS, they're getting probably billions of dollars to them. I think these are the kind that need a little bit more funding, to help out, and maybe we could get a cure or more treatment that could help people that are afflicted by them.
Yeah, and the other and to your point, in terms of the causes that get so much attention, Parkinson's is second only to Alzheimer's for the most common neurodegenerative disease.
Yeah.
And so since Alzheimer's and Parkinson both tend to hit aging people, the number of people with Parkinson's is going to increase substantially over the next 20 years or so, because our population is aging.
Right.
And so, and as it is, it's no small potatoes, that I think it's like 9 million. I'm going to find the number. 90,000 people in this country are diagnosed with it for the first time. And so that in itself, and those numbers are going to keep rising. So it does need more attention. And what I do want to mention is a couple of things. First of all, those of you that are joining just now in the middle of our marathon, thank you so much for being here. I would really encourage you to take a listen to our first hour at the very beginning, especially where Chris Northrup, many of you might know as my former co-host on the Upper Deck, part of the Pinstripe Chronicles family, and her husband has Parkinson's, and that was the inspiration. Chris needed to step down because her husband's Parkinson's condition is progressing. It's chronic. It's progressive, and there is no cure. And so it's a very powerful thing to listen to Pete himself talk about what the disease looks like and its impact. So really encourage you to take a look at that and share it for awareness with people that you know, if you feel driven to do so. And the other thing is that this is the charity. There's several, but this is the charity that Chris and Pete requested us to highlight because it's unique to the others. It's not for the only intention of raising funds for research and the cure. It's named a coalition because it's building a community that includes the patients, the caregivers, the medical folks, and the researchers and scientists. And they formed a coalition. They meet once every 3 years internationally. And it really gives an opportunity in real time, in person, for patients to get some information and knowledge from the most famous researchers and clinicians working on this, and vice versa. They learn from the patients and the families. And what Pete was saying was that he now has friends worldwide with Parkinson's, which anyone that's facing any form of disability, you would know that it could feel very you could feel very excluded and very unseen and very not understood. And now Pete has a whole community of people on the same journey as him. And Parkinson's looks as different from one person to the next, but they have that in common and understand each other. And that's part of where the dollars are going for, is for that community of support to get people through. And there are more and more people, still not to the extent of the over 50 and 60 crowd, that are getting it younger. And really what it is a life sentence, because it doesn't impact how many years you're meant to live necessarily, not this disease on its own. And so as your body progresses into not functioning motorically, and other things that come along with it, to have these people available as a community, I think is something really unique to support. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Sunil was asking how D-Rod knew a few things. Sunil, if you're just tuning in, like we said a few moments ago, the first hour of the show, I don't want to say show, but on the fundraiser, we did have Chris Northrup and her husband Pete on, and they were sharing their story on how long they've been dealing with it, all the trials and tribulations of it, and everything in between. So definitely, when it's looking at you, it's different. You could read an article, and it'll have an impact. But when you listen to a story, it's just different.
And Sunil, sorry to hear you have your own story and it's impacted your family. So yeah, and thanks, D-Rod. Yes, Pete did really well. It was very powerful, as did Chris. And family members are also sort of a victim to the disease, because their life changes too. And the least of which for Chris was having to step down from doing the Upper Deck for me. She had to give up a lot very quickly because of how Pete is progressing, not in the direction you would want. So just really appreciate your presence here and for supporting.
Yeah, it's just leaves you speechless. It really does, because I've known a few people that have had it, um, and he's now unfortunately part of that group, and each person deals with it different. May have different symptoms. It came on, it started, the symptoms came on differently. There's no way to pinpoint this is exactly what it is. And it got into where, there's also a lot of misdiagnosis because it's neurological. So, sometimes it can present itself as something else. And that's the sad part about it, which is why the research and having these communities is so important. It might, like a cramped hand, just a little achiness. You really don't, there's no way to pinpoint. A runny nose will lead to a cold, but there's nothing that tells you this is going to lead to this. And so that's why this coalition, the organization, is so important to them because of the community. And there are people, like they were saying, are not in an area of the country or in the world where they have quick access to the doctors that can, assist with the coping of it. So it deserves the attention. And we're very proud to be sitting here, having a little fun talking baseball and Yankees, but it's also for a greater purpose.
Agree.
Yeah.
No, but
is there testing for it? Like if you're having symptoms, do you go for a test or a blood test or? I don't know.
That's I'm glad you asked that, because in terms of how it's diagnosed, there's no single test. I'm not spitting this from my own head. I'm reading.
Okay.
I don't even play a doctor on TV. There is no single test for Parkinson's. A doctor makes a diagnosis based on a person's symptoms, medical history, and a physical exam. And like Tats was saying, sometimes conditions that look like PD can be ruled out by additional lab tests and imaging, because it mimics so many other things. But to consider a diagnosis of Parkinson's, a person must have a condition called bradykinesia, which stands for slow movement, in addition to one or more of the following: shaking or tremor in a limb that occurs while it is at rest, stiffness or rigidity of the arms, legs, or trunk, and trouble with balance and falls. And this diagnosis takes a long time because it's a series of ruling out things, and that it's more tests and more tests. And if you don't have access to healthcare or the insurance to pay for these things, then you're at double indemnity in terms of getting the support and help you needed. But neurologists are movement disorder specialists, so they're the ones that do the diagnosing. And so that's the answer to your question, Chris.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. So again, everybody that has donated, we appreciate you. Believe me, it's going right to them. There's no selfish motivations from the Chronicles at all throughout the day. But this is important to it. This because everybody gets, Sunil was sharing the story, with his relative, and it's a shame, that anybody has to go through it. I've seen, I feel that there's no biomarkers for it. So
you were listening this morning, FL.
Everybody, they were all taking notes.
Love it.
We do recommend, if you really want to hear firsthand, it's the first hour we had on Chris and Pete, and they'll tell you firsthand. You can actually see the one how much it bonded the two of them and how they stood by each other. And hear it for yourself. Listen to his story.
Yeah.
That'll give you the perspective of don't take a day for granted. That's the key.
It also
So
tells the tale of not of poo-pooing some things when they start to happen to you, which I think a lot of us just tend to do. It could be I'm also not looking to make this dramatic and freak people out, but between Pete's story and the ones that I've read leading up to this time with everyone today, a lot of people just didn't even think to consult with anybody for years because, oh, lots of people are stiff in the morning and can't get their
yeah,
feet moving right when they get out of bed. And then it wasn't until like they started becoming falling more easily, and something bigger would happen. And so it's a cautionary tale for those of us that just keep on keeping on like we're taught to do. And that's the right thing to do, but you also have to listen to your bodies.
Yeah, you know what? Don't ever be afraid to ask the doctor. Like when you go see a doctor like every year for your physical, checkup and stuff like that. Never like, hey, I've been doing this more often. Does this mean anything? They might like, hey, you're just getting old, and that it is what it is. But there's also if there's other symptoms that they're going to pick up on, they might send you for a test or something, or send you to a specialist, and then find out. It's just
Absolutely.
one of those things. Like I found out last year or the year before, like you should go for a skin test, kind of like just to kind of look at your skin if there's any moles that you might overlook, and you might not even see them. It might be on your back that you don't notice, but a doctor
Right.
would notice it, right? So you go and you get it checked out. It's really simple. It's a simple test, and it's not really a test. It's the guy looks at your skin, basically looks at your body. If he sees something, they'll test it, which is nothing. They just take a specimen off of it, just for an example, and they run it for a test. If it comes back negative, then you got nothing. You just got a mole or whatever it might be. But I think it's always good to ask questions with your doctor. If you think it's a stupid question, just ask him or her. You got nothing. That's why you go to see a doctor, right? You
Yeah.
go for their opinion. They go, and then they might say, that's nothing. That's no big deal. They're like, oh, okay, that could be something. Go see this doctor. He's a specialist, or
yeah,
she's a
Right.
specialist, and find out
Right.
for sure. Because then it's going to weigh on your brain no matter what. You're always going to be thinking about it. Man, I should ask that doctor if this is a problem. You know what? Just ask. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't be ashamed.
Exactly. And NFL diver, that's a great other outcome from today is that, from being with us and hearing the story of Pete this morning, you passed the organization material to your cousins in Boston. That matters so much that you're spreading these resources around. And truth of the matter is, more and more of us are going to know somebody who has Parkinson's, probably especially as we age. And so I was glad to get the information I got, that's for sure.
yeah.
um
But like Chris was saying, stick to your doctors. That's what they're there for. That's what we're paying them for.
right.
To know things that we don't. And pick up on, like you brought up the skin doctor. I go to a skin doctor. I'm supposed to go more often than I do. But it's no secret I'm bald. The sun can do a lot of damage to a scalp. So I try to go once a year just to get it looked at. I don't. A little sunburn can do a lot of damage. Go for your physicals. If you have that one little ache, bring it up.
Yeah.
You're already there, so might as well use their time and ask as many questions as you can.
Yeah.
So
It's a pain in the neck, but do what I call the parade of ologists, and dedicate a week, because your primary doctor always wants you to have a cardiologist, You know, they want you to have your colonoscopy every year at a certain age. You're supposed to go to the dentist 4 times a year, for crying out loud. You know, and a host of other ologists, depending on what's going
Yeah.
on with you physically, right? So I happen to be the lucky one that really feels like a parade. It's like, okay, 5 days, not vacation, because I have to see, you know, I have to go on the ologist parade. So, you know, just and D-Rod, thanks for sharing that. And I'm glad that you were persistent. And it's hard to be persistent.
It is.
It really is. It's easier to just give up and ignore. So,
Hey, you only got one body, so just try to take care of it as much as possible. You know, just like you take your car in every 3,000 miles for gas, you know what? You got to do that for your own body, right? You got to every 6 months, every year, get checked out. Like you said, at 50, or actually it's even earlier now for the colonoscopy, unfortunately. I found that out a couple of years ago. No, 50 is it's already past the age. So it's something, it stinks, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
yeah.
Hey, it's your own body. Try to take care of it as best as possible. Ask the questions for the doctor. If the doctor says you should go do this or go check this out, just listen. You know, they know better than us. They went to school. They have all the experience. We don't. So listen to the doctors.
Neil, I'm truly not meaning to scare anybody.
No.
So let's just let
be
me
more
just say
aware,
that,
you know?
that would be counterintuitive to what we're trying to accomplish today.
Yeah.
Awareness is different than scaring people.
Yeah.
Right.
With the like to baseball a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that.
Now that we went through that, and well, believe me, it's an important discussion. You know, we're all friends, we're all family, we're all adults. You know, it's sometimes it sucks to have to talk about the serious things, but it has to be done. But we also get a chance to kind of take a little diversion into some better times. And when you see, you know, when you go into a Yankee season or any team that you root for, and you have, you know, you have the hot start that we're having. You know, I think fans have trouble realizing that yes, the hot start is always good to have. You want to start off on the right foot. You know, the rough stretches are going to come. Managing expectations, I think, is the hardest thing to do as a fan. You know, and we want to get so hyped up for it. Speaking of being hyped up, Chris, I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Positivity.
Oh boy.
What up, guys? Chris, nice to meet you, man.
What's up, bud? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Jigga.
Hey, Lynn, how
Lynn,
are
hey,
you?
good.
Uncle That's how you doing? What up, chat? I see everybody in here popping in and out all day. Listen, I've been in and out. I've been checking in. You know, I told you, Tats, I want to make sure I stop by. You know, I woke up, remembered it was my grandmother's birthday today because my kids were like, Dad, what time we cutting cake? I was like, yeah, I totally had it all planned, but I want to stop by. And I was like, look, you guys, covered the Yankees all freaking day, right? Yes, because our team is the shit. Number two, amazing cause here with the Parkinson stuff. The conversation was heavy right now, right? And you said it, Tats. Yep. We're adults. These are conversations you have to have, right? Yep. These are things we need to be aware of. And the fact that you guys are doing such a long stream, I just want to say, over here at the Morning Brew, we just donated for the Buy My Coffee for you guys as well. But we're also going to do everybody that donates for the rest of the show. And already this morning, we'll do a duck race on Yanks Morning Brew this Tuesday. And we'll do a Yanks Morning Brew mug giveaway for everybody that donates. So just $5 donation. Let us know who they are. And we'll throw in some giveaways.
Wow.
I'll send you a link.
That's awesome.
But here's the good stuff. All right, you guys, we're gonna change the mood. There's more. Yes, but all right. So listen,
Kitsu knives.
Here's good news now.
We'll change the mood a little bit. I got 3 of these right here. All right. You see them? All right. We'll let the chat. First person to pick a number 1, 2, or 3 in the chat. I'm gonna let them go first. Tats is like, why do we invite this guy over and over again? What is wrong with us? We're like, yeah, come on, FL Dive, I see you in there. I see you in the mornings with positivity. Come on, guy. All right, so what I failed to tell you guys is what they're picking right now are 3 horrible dad jokes. All right, and we'll see. Which one,
right.
we'll see which
we're waiting for them to put the
lands.
number out. You have this new show on top of an amazing network with Morning Brew. Sunil, all right, Sunil got number 3.
Oh, Sunil's first. All right, go ahead. His number interrupted your sentence, so we'll let you finish.
So tell everybody about your new show, because when you're dealing with fundraisers, and it tugs the heartstrings. Yeah. And you always have to leave time, because you never know what tomorrow's going to be. Leave time to have a positive moment of your day, which is why I love what you're doing in the morning. It's a great way to start it off. Tell everybody about Morning Cup of Joe.
Yeah, so we've been building the Morning Brew Sports for the last year, right? Our anniversary is in 2 weeks. We hit 4,000 subscribers, which is phenomenal. It's been a crazy ride, right? The shows, you guys know, I'm producing now. We've got 11 shows on the channel, right? I'm just nonstop. And then I'd always see people in the chat. They're like, does Porto really have this energy all the time? And then they meet me in person. They're like, you really do. I'm like, well, I've never wanted to fake who I am. And you start to realize when you're doing the sports coverage, you forget that we are normal people, just like these players are. And you see people in the chat that get so worked up over a loss or a trade or a player. And I'm like, you know what? Why not take all of these fan bases of ours, the Rangers, the Yankees, the Mets, the Islanders that we have in this chat, and let's start the morning off with me acting like an idiot, positivity, a good time, because listen, we wake up with losses and we're ready to punch a wall, right? So you know what, after a Knicks loss, come hang out in the morning. I promise you, if even one thing, you're gonna walk away like, man, this guy's an idiot. That means I did something right. Okay, as long as we get that, we did something right. But yeah, so 9 o'clock during the week, it's 30 minutes of just fun and stupidity, not unscripted. You're there, Tats. I don't know where these voices come from. And my kids at this point finally have written me off as their father. They don't admit it no more in public. Number 3, Sunil, dad joke for you is, where do fruits go on vacation? I'll let you guys give me your come on, Grandpa. You've got the grandpa title, so you have superior dad jokes at this point. What would your answer be? Where do fruits go on vacation?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you.
Wait for it. Paris. Listen, I don't write these, all right? I just bought these, all right? So.
But
good try. It's a good attempt.
That's the thing that's good about dad jokes. They're consistently bad. One more. You ready? One more. We'll do one more for free.
All right.
Yes. You got requests for 1 and 2. So.
All right. Then I guess we got 2 more to go. Why is Yoda such a good gardener?
What did you say? Why is he such a good what?
This is so stupid. Why is Yoda such a good gardener? He has green thumbs. Get it?
Wow.
That's a good one.
Pour another one, guys. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah,
let's go.
One up and go.
This is how you get through. What are you guys on? Hour like 5? All right, good luck. Next one. What does a lemon say when it answers the phone? Yellow. Tats, I don't know, and Lynn, I don't know if I just made your show better or this shit is tanking as we speak.
No. You are in the right lane with your hazards on, but you're in the right lane. Jigga, what do you know about Laffy Taffy?
The candy?
Yeah.
Yeah, this missing tooth right here, years of Laffy Taffy.
So you know those riddles.
Right? I love those.
Taffy. That's another great. Next fundraiser.
So here, I'll tell you a funny story, Lynn. My mom has the weirdest sense of humor. Like, you would think my mom laughs at me all the time. My mom thinks I'm dumb. All right. But I told her, you remember the Bazooka Joe gum? And you
Yeah.
used to take the wrapper and have the little comic in there.
Yep.
Yep.
And there was one joke in there. And the joke, from what I remember, literally was, how much does it cost to get to the airport? And the taxi driver said, it's $10. He said, how much for my luggage? And it said, oh, that's free. He said, cool, I'll meet you over there. Take my luggage. That was the only joke my mother lost her shit over in 42 years. That's still the joke that I can tell over and over again, Lynn. She dies every time. All right? Laffy Taffy material.
You never did Laffy Taffy for your mom?
Listen, I know my audience, okay? And it just didn't work.
I'll give you the one that caused my college roommate I had to get a paper bag because she started hyperventilating. I'm not even kidding, because she couldn't get her air from laughing so hard. What did one casket say to the other casket? You give up?
I'm buried.
Oh yeah.
I tried.
Is that you, Coffin?
Oh my God.
Nailed it. Chris is like, man, I should have taken that exit when I had the chance.
I mean, seriously, she went from red to pale to blue. Like, what was this? I think it was their popcorn bag, and I dumped the popcorn and they gave it to her. Like,
that was a good one. Well, guys, seriously, thank you. I think what you're doing is amazing. Like I said, prayers over to Chris and Pete. And the battle they'll be going through. Everybody in the chat, I know a lot of these guys have been with you all day.
Yep.
Tats, Lynn, amazing job. Such a great cause. Appreciate you letting me come up here and act like an idiot for a couple minutes.
No,
Chris,
we appreciate you giving us some time. Happy birthday, Grandma.
No.
And
Yes.
I'll send you a list of all
Yes.
the people that made the donations.
Awesome. Good luck for the rest of the way, guys.
Thank
Get
you
some
so
water.
much,
Stay hydrated.
Yep.
Later, guys. Deuces.
That was
wow.
He is on another level.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Chris, he's like that all the time.
Wow. Especially at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's saying
Oh
something.
yeah, it's something special.
Yeah.
And he's just so down to earth.
Yeah.
Boy,
Cool guy.
I'm scaring people. I'm dampening moods. Maybe I should just go, Tats.
No, you ain't going
I
anywhere.
don't know. Tony said I just dampened the mood, I guess, with my coffin joke.
I mean, if you need a break,
I
which
scared
don't-
Sunil
I mean,
earlier.
you're trooping it out. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
and everybody in the chat, you guys are trooping it out with us, and we appreciate it. And this is why we did it. It was to bring this community together, because it wasn't about us just talking about our show all day, with just me, Lynn, Rob and Donald. We've had Chris with us. You just saw, Jigga Man Porto from Morning Brew Sports, and the rest of the guys from there are going to be on later. It's, it's the Yankee community, and not just the YouTube channels, but all the content creators. This is a family, and you can't stop family from doing good things. So thank you to everybody. So before we go too far back into the dark, just remember what Jigga said. The Morning Brew Sports will be doing a raffle, and if you've never seen one of Jigga Man's duck races, you'll laugh your ass off. It's hilarious, and they will be, donating. So they will raffle off some merch for anybody. So drop those donations in, not just for the duck race, but because it really is a very. It's important that we get some donations for the Parkinson's Awareness Month. So
I want to put the Jigga Man's info in the chat. Who can spit it out for me? I want to like put the Twitter address for Morning Brew. Do you know it off the top of your head?
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat.
You'll put it in the chat. Thanks.
Yeah.
I think everybody should subscribe.
So all right, let's get back to what we were talking about with the Yankees. As far as like, when, with fans and the expectations and when to curb them, when you can get, what times of year you get hyped up for it, you know, as a sports fan of any team, how should we, what do you think is, Chris, is the healthiest way to really survive a sports season?
Oof. I mean, baseball is tough because it's such a long season, right? You're talking 162 games. So you got to write out, a slow start or a losing streak or something like that throughout the season because it's 162 games. If you lose 2 or 3 in a row, it's not the end of the world. If you lose 2 or 3 in a row in football, your season could be almost over, right? I mean, we've seen that because it's only 17 games. So it's a lot different with baseball. Baseball is like a longer process. It's a marathon, the regular season. It really is. And you just got to ride them out, especially baseball starting off slow in the beginning for a lot of these guys. You've seen it. Some people were saying to bench Aaron Judge or to even send him down to the minors. I'm like, what? Are you out of your mind? I mean, this guy is one of, if not the best hitter in baseball, one of the best. And you're talking about benching him because he had a bad series. I mean, it happens. In baseball, it's going to happen. So you got to take the good with the bad. With the Yankees, with us, it's the expectations are World Series, right? Every year, it's about the World Series. It's not, well, let's have a good season. Maybe we'll make the playoffs. No, it's World Series. Every other team, it's something else. But for us, it is always going to be World Series. So the expectations are always going to be super high.
Yeah.
And as a fan, for us, we've been through a few years already. So we know, all right, it's only April. We're not going to we're not going to overreact here, right? We're going to say, okay, the guy had a bad series, no big deal. They'll start up, but thankfully they've started off good. Yeah, they had a bad game yesterday, but I'm not going to, write off the Yankees now because they got shut out at home, game 7 or 8, whatever it was. So, my expectations are still World Series for this team. I mean, they're built to win it. I just expect, or I just hope for, Cole returning, DJ returning, the guys from the bullpen that we know are coming at some point, that's what I'm kind of looking. All right. You know what? They're coming. We got reinforcements coming. So.
Yeah. And for me, I'm a little bit of, in the middle here, and anyone that watches my show, knows how often I say these 2 words, 3 words actually. Manage your expectations. I've had to learn a balance between being that, I'm here until the last out of the last inning of the last game, believing in them.
Yep.
And I've had to temper that, especially since 2009. And
I'm with you.
especially as management shifted, and it's gotten worse over time. And maybe we'll start to see the gate has swung a little bit in the right direction because you really can't give them a failing grade for the off season. You really can't with what they got done. I mean, Cashman and Hal get, an A.
Absolutely.
And
they tried. And think about it, they tried to get even better, right? They tried for Cease. Well, we're not going to give up, Spencer Jones for a year of Dylan Cease or 2 years of Dylan Cease. So that's not going to happen. They tried signing Snell, which I didn't want them to do anyway, but they tried to sign Snell. He didn't want our money. Okay. Montgomery, same thing. I mean, the guy they didn't want to come here. So what can you do?
And they were hot in the game. That's right. They were hot in the game for Yamamoto too.
Right.
And,
they tried him. They tried for him.
Very end, and talk about, Hal's opening his purse. I mean, it doesn't get any wider than what he was going after.
And he's got and the Yankees have the second highest payroll in baseball. So we can't complain about, we could complain about how they spend their money, but you can't complain about them being cheap. That's the way I look at it with them.
Right.
So, I mean, I think they did a great offseason, but with baseball, it's not just about the offseason. Now it's about the regular season. Now it's about, okay, what are we going to need in June or July? When that comes up, and let's, we need a starting pitcher. Okay, Yankees better go. I think they will. They'll make a big move. I've already said it before the season started. I said they're going to make a big move at the deadline. Whatever they need, they're going to try to, they're going to try to go for it. Whether they need a relief pitcher, a starting pitcher, third baseman, whatever they need, they're going to get. So I'm totally fine with what's going on right now. It is what it is. It's early, but expectations, World Series or bust, without a doubt. And I think they're gonna, make the necessary moves when they need to.
Right. And it's just there's always just so much that's unpredictable, so until we're literally there, that it's a dream until the dream is over and you either wake up happy or crying. So, again, I guess I'm being a Debbie Downer, but I say it out loud as often as I can to manage your expectations, more so for myself than anybody else.
Well, we can't win every game, right? We're not going to win every single game. We're not going to go 162-0. So if we lose a game, it's not the end of the world, right? Even if we lose a series, it's not the end. Don't worry. We're still, there's still 150 plus games left of this season. You don't want to bury yourself like the Marlins have, or the Mets have started off bad. You don't want to get to that extent, but we've started pretty good. So that's, I like the thought of that we did start off well, especially against Houston and Arizona. People are like, oh, if we split, that'd be good enough, but we did really well. I mean, sweeping Houston 2 out of 3 against Arizona, you really can't complain about that. No,
you really can't. And let that be the predictor for October.
Right.
Let that,
exactly.
Let's that make that feel like Groundhog Day all over again, or deja vu all over again. Let me be Yogi for a minute. Yeah. And so I just checked Twitter to see if the lineup for tonight was out. It's not.
Okay.
I guess it's a little too early. It is a 7:00 game, but I already peeked. Not there yet. The only thing we know is that it's Schmidt on the mound. So how are we feeling? How do you feel about Schmidt lately?
I feel all right. I think he's going to be a little better than what we've seen last year. I mean, and he wasn't bad last year. To be the 5th starter and give you that kind of production, we can't really say that was bad. So even if we get the same amount of production that we got last year, I'll be happy. But I think he'll step it up a little bit too. You know?
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I think he went 5 the last time, didn't he? His last outing. I think he went into the 5th, but which isn't terrible. And I mean, I guess we can't complain at the moment anyway. We got what we got.
He pitched into the 6th, 5 1/3.
6. Okay, 5 1/3. At least
that's
I
not
had
bad.
the 5 right. Yeah. So
listen, like I said, for a number 5 starter, you really can't complain. I know he's the 4 starter now because of Cole being hurt, and you got Hill coming in now as your 5, but still, that's really not bad. I'll take that every start, 5 1/3, 3 runs or less. I'm good with that.
How'd you get that so fast?
Huh?
How'd you get the 5 1/3 so fast?
Well, I'm on my computer and I just went to, I just looked real quick.
Wow. Okay. Like I need to know what's in your browser.
Oh, Baseball Reference is a quick.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
Always have Baseball Reference ready for you.
I'd still be fumbling trying to find it. Okay. So, all right. What else is on your mind about the team? Management, coaches?
Yeah, so far so good. I think. Listen, I know everybody hates Boone. I get it. Nobody likes Boone. Everybody gets on him. I'm kind of on the other side. I'm not saying he's the greatest manager to ever live, but I'm also like, listen, give the guy a break. The last few years, especially last year. I mean, who was winning with that roster? Nobody was winning with that roster. It was an embarrassment for the Yankees to have. It was just, I still cringe at the thought of like Jake Bowers and the other guys that we had out there. It was just guys you don't even want to think about. Like, why did we have? So I'm not one of the guys that kills, Aaron Boone a lot. I'm kind of like, all right, he's not the greatest manager, but he's also not the worst. So I think we'll learn a lot from him this year, right? Because I think this is his last season under contract.
Right.
So, and he's got the team now. He's got you can't complain about this team now. Unless there's a crap load of injuries in the next few months, this is a really good team. So we'll find out a lot about Boone right now because now he's got the team. Now there's no excuse. The last couple of years, last year obviously was an embarrassment. The year before, remember we had all those injuries at the end of the year, Carpenter and DJ and Benintendi after we got him, he got hurt. So it was like one injury after another going into the playoffs, and those guys were key, So I look at it this way. He's got the team now. Now it's time to win it all.
That's it.
So let's see what happens.
Yeah, you're literally naked, so let's see what happens. It's all out there. And you're right.
With Bone, you're saying that this is the year, and it's true. And the thing is that the biggest difference from the past is, the roster construction.
Yeah.
And they've been, it's kind of like the organization was stuck in this rut where, they were trying to just piece things together instead of just building properly.
Right.
The Band-Aids weren't holding anymore. So, when you see the offseason that they had, and then the way, we didn't get everybody that we went after, but we were able to get, obviously Soto's the big piece. Stroman showing that it was the right move. Verdugo, it's amazing when you have a left fielder.
Yep.
Grisham solid off the bat. So you have, the sense of optimism now that we haven't had. And Boone's able to manage like an actual manager.
Yeah.
And not somebody that's kind of like picking at straws going, all right, do I put in McKinney or do I put in Bowers? It's, it's a loss either way.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, is it Grisham or Verdugo in the lineup? Or
right.
Grisham or Judge. So you're not taking away from your strength. You have multiple strengths.
Yeah.
I think the only place that they really handcuffed themselves was the closer role.
Right.
With the bullpen has enough pieces where you can't, I think the Yankees would be able, I don't want them to do it, but if their hands were forced, they could do a by committee.
Right. Maybe Hamilton could be the closer. He's been really good.
Hamilton's been impressive.
Yeah.
I've been behind Hamilton for a while now. And so it's just one of those where it's, even losing Loaizaga, like, okay, like, oh, now what? But they called up Santana, and was able to, all right, we're not, desperate,
right?
Because a player went down. The rotations held their own without Cole, which leads to even more optimism for when he returns.
Right.
That's he'll have that rough, he's shown he's going to have that rough first inning and then settle in. So it's just, just survive, just keep them in the game on the first inning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, you have that optimism.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we got like 4 guys coming back, right, at some point for the bullpen. You got Canely coming back eventually. You got, what's his name? Trevino's coming back. Efris is coming back. So those guys are coming, second half of the season, more or less. But at least there's guys coming back where you could count on them, that they don't have to go out and make a trade, But closer, yeah, that I think is the problem. And that's why during the offseason, I was like, you know what? We should sign Josh Hader because either way, Holmes is a free agent after this year too. So we're going to need a closer after this season unless you want to sign Holmes to a big deal because he's going to probably want, I don't want to say he's going to get what Hader got, but he's going to want a lot of money too. So I was kind of hoping they would sign Hader for that reason. But listen, I think they really believe in Hamilton, like you said earlier, like you believe in him. I think he's looked great this year. Maybe they envision him as the closer next season, down the road.
Yeah. I mean, the one guy that I want to keep in the rotation is Heel.
Right.
I don't want to start screwing with him.
Agreed. So here, let's say, all right, let's get the best possible situation, right? Everybody stays healthy. Cole comes back in like late June. he's back into the rotation. Who are you kicking out and putting into the bullpen?
With Hamilton? So
No. If I'm saying if Cole comes back healthy,
okay,
in June, let's say late June, he comes back, he's fine. Who are you kicking out of the rotation and putting in the bullpen?
I would have to see how the year is going for Heel and Nestor at that point.
Yeah.
If he was coming back tomorrow, I would pick Nestor.
Yeah, Cortez. Yeah,
because I think Heel has a better arsenal suited for a starter.
Yeah, I agree. What about Schmidt? You like Schmidt over Cortez, though?
Yes, I do.
Right now.
Yeah, I saw enough from him last year at the end. Once he got comfortable with his role, he was really able to, to show that he can be a sustainable piece of a rotation.
Yeah,
and we're not asking him to do a lot. We're just asking him to hold it down.
Yeah, be a 4 or 5 starter.
Why I wasn't going too crazy with him as the, with Nestor, because it's like you're a number 4 guy in a standard rotation. 3-4 runs. I think a lot of teams or fan bases would sign up for a 4 starter to do that.
Right. Yeah. No. I'm. What do you go over 5 innings? His first start, gave up 3 runs. You'll take that every day from your 5 starter.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's just one of those. We're in the moment we are now.
Yeah. I just hope, listen, if we stay healthy, that's the, I mean, obviously that's for every team too, but just stay, relatively healthy. Obviously injuries are going to happen, but if we stay healthier than what we've had, from the past, I think this team is, sky's the limit for this team. I mean, there's no doubt this is a playoff team, and yeah, they could easily win, not easily win, but they could definitely get to the World Series if this team just stays healthy. And, like I was telling her earlier, I think, listen, if it comes to it in June or July and they need to make a move, they're going to make a move. I think they're going to be aggressive this year in trying to trade for someone, whatever they need, whether it's, a pitcher or a position player. I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of, who's going to be available. I know you guys were talking much earlier about who's available, who's going to be available, like right now, obviously like White Sox, Marlins, so we'll see. I'm sure another team will pop up by June, that's struggling. That's like, all right, we're done. We're going to trade guys. So we'll see.
Lynn, I know I want to give you a break a little bit because you've been going all day. I've been able to step away for a moment or two, but with the rotation when Cole gets back, because I think that's an interesting discussion because there's still so much time, for guys to prove themselves. But what do you guys think about or like who would you take out of the rotation if you had to?
Well, I heard you before I came on. I would have to say at this very moment, it's Nestor to the pen. Yeah, and what would make me change my mind? I don't. I just think that would be the answer. And Schmidt is second after. I think Heel is the one that has the best shot at staying. And that's assuming that Rodon is going to continue to be better and better, because he's been also somebody to give us a roll late attack in the first inning or two, and then get himself out of jams and sort himself out, like we were talking about with Nestor earlier. So if we see less and less of that, then yeah, it'll probably be Nestor, Cortez.
And he's pitched out of the bullpen before too, right? Nestor, if I remember.
Nestor,
yes.
Yeah.
He was brought into the rotation much like Schmidt and King were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Rob.
Hello again.
What's up, Rob?
So Rob, with the
How you doing,
rotation,
Chris?
like if you had to pick, like either I know we've kind of seems like we're rehashing conversations, but between Nestor, let's say Schmidt and Heel, when Cole's back, who becomes the odd man out? Is it an obvious choice, or is it all because for me it depends on how the season's progressing.
Yeah, if you're going based off of right now, it'd be Nestor. But again, he's only had 2 starts, and the other guys have had 1. So you have to wait and see. You really have to wait. I think we'll have a clearer picture in about a month if we get an actual date when Garrett Cole is supposed to come back. If we know he's coming back by June 1st, or maybe the first home series in June, then we'll have a clearer picture. But if it's going by right now, it'd probably be Nestor Cortez.
Yeah, it seems like Nestor is the guy that everybody's saying in the chat too. So it's I think that they're in a they're in a bind because and it's the best problem to have is too many players for a position. So when Cole gets back, if things are going the way they're going, it's going to be a tough decision. It really is. There's going to be no obvious answer.
Yeah, it's true. And like you said, what if Nestor starts to pitch well, right? And then June comes, and what happens if let's say, great example. What if everybody's pitching well? Perfect,
Yes.
like perfect scenario. If everybody's pitching well, then what do you do? Is it Hill because he might be on a pitching limit coming back from Tommy John? I don't know. That's another, possibility.
Yeah. Right now, I want to bring up another guest of ours that is joining in, and that is Jason from 161 River Avenue. Jason, how's everything going?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Thank you for giving us some of your time.
Ah,
I know you are another guy that's very busy all the time.
yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. I was actually we're taking apart my old house and ripping the whole thing apart, and I'm not handy by any means. I'm the helper. Jason lift this, take this. They didn't need me earlier, and all of a sudden they needed me to lift this and throw this. So that's my apologies for being late, but I'm happy to be here with you guys.
No. It's all. We're just glad you were able to show up. Especially for a great cause. Like you were saying, Parkinson's Awareness Month. So we have put this little fundraiser together. You see the ticker on the bottom. If anybody that can donate to them directly, or you could also do it through Super Chat, or hit the code on scan the top of the screen on the Buy Me a Coffee. And Rob, I don't know if you were able to hear, but and Jason, but Jigga Man popped on and kind of raised the ante a little bit, and we'll do a special duck race for some merch for Morning Brew Sports for anybody that donates.
All right.
So he kind of put everybody a little more to the fire. So, but the day's been going really well. To get all the friends that have come on have been on just on point with all their takes. The one we were talking about now is when Cole comes back, how would do you have a guy that you would automatically just take out of the rotation, or is it one of those we have to see how it goes?
Honestly, I think we'll have to see. I think it's going to fall between, in all honesty, Luis Hill and Nestor Cortez to see who goes in long relief, or do they ease Cole back and do a 6-man for a little bit. I don't think that's going to happen because it'll probably interrupt their 5-day in between each start. But if Nestor Cortez kind of is just average, I think he would probably be better suited for long relief at that point. And Luis Hill, as long as they were being responsible with his innings, I think we'll get more out of him starting pitching than we would Nestor Cortez. So, but either way, I'd be fine if Cortez stays in the rotation and if Hill goes to the bullpen. And that's why they have guys like Luke Weaver. That's why they have the benefit of bringing in JT Brubaker too from the Pirates in that trade. So they will have guys who can eat innings to give these guys a little bit of a security blanket. Cortez, Hill, and Cole, and the rest of them, so they're not having thrown to the wolves constantly. So these quiet moves, I think they're going to pay off.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's been so much to really break down and analyze throughout the day. And I know you have a strong passion on a lot of different topics. One that I think is interesting, and Chris, I apologize for throwing you back into the discussion, but
right.
We're glad you're hanging out with us for a little while extra. But with the pitch clock and the injuries to the pitchers and the increase of the hit by pitches this season, how do you feel it all ties together?
I think we talked about it, right, with the pitch clock. I think it's a few things involved here. I think the pitch clock, I think the higher velocity pitchers now are getting the Tommy John a lot more. I think so. We got to look into possibly, I was saying it earlier, the pitching labs, right? These labs are getting the most out of the pitchers, right? They want the most velocity, best performance possible out of these pitchers. Maybe it's a matter of these guys shouldn't be throwing 98, 99. Maybe they should be throwing more, mid 90s. Maybe that extra tick or two on the speed limit is causing them to have problems with this, with their elbows. I don't know. It's something that the MLB definitely has to look into between the pitch clock and everything else, I would say. But I don't think it's one thing, because when you brought up, the pitch clock, I agreed also too. But I think the pitch lab has something to do with it too, because it's mostly the high velocity starters that are getting the Tommy John surgery. So I don't know.
Yeah. Jason, what do you think?
I wanted to ask you guys a question. Since they moved from 20 to 18 on the pitch clock, are you guys noticing a benefit from cutting it by 10% from 20 to 18 seconds? And like Chris's point too, a lot of guys are getting hurt. So I'm wondering what your takes are on the benefit of. I understand they wanted to short the game. They've already shortened the games quite a bit, but with all the injuries that are taking place, I can't see. I'm not seeing the benefit from moving by cutting it by 10% again. I was wondering what you guys are thinking.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
2 seconds makes no sense to me.
10%,
right?
Yeah, it's. You didn't even give everybody a chance to adjust to the first clock, and you already changed it.
Yeah, after
You
1 year.
know, so as a player, I would be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that's right. Don't ask these people to adjust and then keep moving the goalpost. It's just it doesn't make any sense to me.
True. What do you think, Rob? What's your take?
2 seconds made no sense. I thought it was stupid. Just keep it the way it was. It worked last year, right? You shortened the games the way they wanted to, and now they're shortening it by 2 seconds. What's the 2 seconds going to do for you? What can you possibly do with the extra 2 seconds? That's a question for everybody. Yeah, 2 extra seconds in your day. What would you do with it? Breathe? Because that's all you're really going to be able to do with an extra 2 seconds. This is going to come up. Yeah, this is going to come up in the next CBA discussion in a couple of years, along with the Tony Clark nonsense and all that stuff. It's going to be an absolute mess the next time we have a CBA discussion. More than likely going to have another lockout, but this is going to come up with all the injuries. I'm sure the Players Association might try to change it even going into next year, because too many pitchers are getting hurt, and we're, a week into the season? Bieber, Strider, Perez. How many other guys are on the IL because of Tommy John? And it could be related to the pitch clock. It could be simply they're trying too much to make sure, because when you think about it, 20 seconds in between pitches is plenty of time to throw a pitch. But maybe they're rushing because, oh, you got to make sure you have eye contact or something like that before. It's really weird. Then there's the stuff with pitch comm. It might be just too much for people to deal with. Okay, it's my pitch comm good. Don't make sure I don't touch my hat so much that the umpires want to check me. And now you got to deal with, can I do all this in 20 seconds or 18 if there's a guy on base? It might be too much for pitchers to deal with, and that's why they're blowing out their arms. But something's going to change.
And to your point too, Rob, this 18 seconds is much more taxing to the pitcher than it is the hitter. So something's got to give at some point. I think going back to 20 would probably be a good idea. At the very least. What do you think, Tess?
Yeah, well, I think with the pitch comm alone, you already solved one problem with the with the signs and all of that. But yeah, the changing the clock to begin with, I wasn't a fan of. Because I didn't think there was anything wrong with the game. But that's it's just one opinion. A lot of people were in favor of it. I even went as far as changing my mind towards when they go into a couple of games, you don't even notice it. And I was like, all right, maybe they're onto something with this clock. And then they change it again. I just, it's too much too quick. So you really don't even get a chance to form a valid opinion, because who knows, next year they might change it again. Maybe then they put the 2 seconds back on. So it's just too much. It's getting out of control. What? Speaking of out of control,
more important things to change that can make the game better than this 2 seconds.
Yeah,
that's so true.
Rob's point. The revenue sharing's got to change, right? That would be a much more significant change to the game than 2 seconds pitch clock, right? Salary floor, attaching it to picks, and so that would be a more significant. It would give everybody some more skin in the game instead of just sitting here waiting for money to pocket, not spend on your players and on your teams. If you looked at the Forbes, there's a Forbes list. The Mets, $290 million in the red. $290 million. That's a team that spends. Okay,
yeah.
Oakland A's don't spend, and they're in the red.
Well, I think that, like with the revenue sharing, I think that's always a great discussion. Because I say they got to the first thing they need to do is put a salary floor in. Until they do that, not one problem is going to be resolved. On the financial aspect of the game.
And what? The owners aren't going to okay to that until there's a ceiling, right? And the players aren't going to go for a salary cap either, ceiling. So the Major League Baseball's in a spot where they don't want to agree.
Yeah, but Chris, you also have the argument if they put in a salary floor of $100 million, right? You have a 26-man roster. You can't find 4 players worth $25 million apiece just to reach that, and then you can nickel and dime everybody else to your heart's content. I think that'd be a very weak argument from the owners.
And right. They could even tier it gradually, 71 year, then 80, then they could go 3 or 4 year stepping stone up to 100 instead of 100 right off the block. They could do it in a way that's amenable to the teams, and not cripple the game or whatnot. So but it stinks that teams like the Yankees, they pay more than $100 million a year in revenue sharing. That's a lot of money.
And you know what? They could also do like a floor like they have the ceiling now, right? Like if you go over, you get taxed. On the other way, if you don't go over, say, 100 million, you know what? Instead of maybe taxing them financially, tax them a draft pick. Yep. Take away or their first round pick, which was going to be 5th, make it 15th. I think a team would say, all right, I don't want to lose my top 5 picks, so I'm going to spend, $15 million more or whatever they need to get over that $100 million mark. So just to be fair, because like you said, it's not fair for the bigger market teams that are spending money.
Yeah, and you can even do it way too, where if you're a multiple offender, like if you don't get over a certain amount of years, then one of the teams gives you the revenue sharing.
Yeah,
Make
you know, we had talked, we had done a show, and I had put together, you know,
I don't know if he knows he muted himself, but
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, you got
no,
There you go.
no, the dog ripped the cord out.
oh,
That's not the first time that during the show that she's done that.
look, we're
No,
7+ hours into a stream. You would think that only one technical difficulty is a pretty damn good achievement right there. So
That is true.
no, because everybody had things that they had to go and take care of. So I'm stuck, you know, right now I'm the only one home with 2 dogs and 3 cats. So
Oh my God.
play hockey.
Pat, you can go take care of the animals. We can certainly handle the business here.
I'll say this, and then I'll take a little break. I had put together what rules I would implement to change the game. I know we talked it all about now. Is Jason? We went through it as a guest on your show. But I would have the $100 million floor. The revenue sharing, if you do not reach the goal of the floor, you do not get your revenue sharing from the other teams. You lose it all. You know, and or you would only get. But what you have to do is you have to spend of your revenue sharing, 75% of it has to go towards salaries. You can't put it in your pocket, you know, and it has to go towards player salary. The other 25 you want to put in your pocket. You want to use that to increase the, you know, amenities in the stadiums or however you want, you know, but there has to be penalties at some point. You know, that's why I wasn't really pissed off to completely. I wasn't completely pissed off when the Yankees were trying to cut their payroll to avoid the revenue. Because why am I going to, you know, keep adding to this revenue sharing for other owners to put it in their pocket? You know, you're not doing anything. It was supposed to balance the competitive edge, and the owners of these low market teams were not doing that.
And to your point too, Tats, these low market teams are always the ones getting the high draft picks.
Yeah.
They're not spending on them. They're not signing these guys who are good, and they wind up losing the other teams. All this revenue sharing, they could be extending their young players, and they're not doing it.
Yeah. But I don't get it. How these owners don't want to reinvest the money that, you know, that we're giving you to improve your product, to increase your revenue. You know, everything cycles into having more revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I mean, something's got to give. It really does. You know, the dam is about to break. It really is, because this next CBA is going to be. We thought the last one was you know, was turmoil. We haven't seen anything yet. It's going to get worse.
Be contentious.
And you know what? And we're the only and MLB is the only sport that's not, you know, financially set up right. Right? You got NHL, NBA, NFL. They all have a hard cap, right? It's floor, ceiling. You can only spend this much. You have to spend a certain amount. You know, like Major League Baseball has the, you know, the salary tax or whatever it is. There's no floor, so you could have a team like the A's spending, you know, what, $40 million on payroll or whatever they did this year, and it's a joke. It's embarrassing for a sport like that. And if teams can't afford to at least put out, you know, $100 million in payroll, then you know what? The owner shouldn't be an owner of a sport team. It's as simple as that.
I think every owner but one is a billionaire. So
yeah, I'm sure they can handle it, right?
Yeah,
I think.
My goodness, it's what do you think about that, Rob? What's your gut tell you on the revenue sharing and all that stuff on the salary floor?
They need to do something, because it's not fair that, like, for instance, you have the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers all at the top of payroll, and they're actually spending. Well, the Mets are spending in a different way. They're setting some payroll after this year, but the Yankees and Dodgers have given out a ton of money in contracts this year to make their team better. to try and go win a championship. You can call it what you want, buying a championship, blah, blah, blah. But that's how you add the best players to your team. You either trade for them, which is adding salary, or you sign them. So either way, you're adding salary to your team. And they're doing that to try to go win. A lot of other teams spent money, not as much, but they spent. The Phillies spent money to bring back guys. The Orioles spent a little bit by adding Burns. The Royals spent money. Teams are spending to try to get better. Yet you have a team like the Athletics or a team like the Angels that has Mike Trout on the roster but barely spent anything to try to make that team better. And they're probably going to get paid by these other teams that actually tried. Tampa Bay is going to actually get paid by other teams that tried. And I don't think it's fair. Chicago didn't try. These teams are clearly tanking. They're clearly tanking for draft picks to try to rebuild. And there's a way to rebuild without making it obvious. And there's no reason that the Oakland Athletics should get a single dime from another team in Major League Baseball if they're not going to put that money towards their own team. Who did they sign this year? They trade for like Alex Wood or something like that. Like they didn't do much of anything. And now you got their own owner. And I mentioned this hours ago on the first part of the live stream, their own owner at the minor league park they're going to be playing at, not even naming a single player on his own roster that he's excited to see play there. But instead he named Aaron Judge. I think that is absolutely it's so bad that it made Jason drop his phone. You see, like that's how bad that statement was.
That's why.
Exactly.
Like
that is
us.
why it's so bad. Like he didn't even name. They just sent down one of their players who had like Ruiz, I think, who had like an incredible opening series, and they sent him down. Like,
Wasn't he?
If that doesn't,
Wasn't he like 6 steals last year?
Yeah, I think he led the league.
he was nuts.
And what
And
was
they
the
sent
reason?
him down.
Like, what was the reason for sending him down? What was the
I don't know.
Oakland, just Oakland being Oakland.
Yeah. Oh my.
Soon to be no city. They're not even gonna call themselves the Sacramento A's. I think it's just gonna be the Athletics for 2 seasons or 2-3 years until they move to Vegas.
That's
that team's
so
a joke.
It is.
And the fans don't deserve that. I'll tell you that much.
They deserve better.
And you know what? And to me, the blame is more on the league. You know, just as much as the owner, right? They should have stepped in years ago, because years ago they've been trying to build a stadium there. It wasn't working. They should have gave them a timeline and say, listen, if you don't build a stadium by 2021, 2022, whatever, that's it. You're going to have to sell. If this was the NBA, I think the NBA would have forced this guy to sell the team. It would have been simple as that, or to make a move. Like you gotta move the franchise, and it's sad.
Yeah, and the stadium they're going to be playing in doesn't have a seating capacity of 10 or 15,000 or something like
It's about
that.
10,000 more than they get now. So
Yeah, it's a minor league, so it can't be that high, no matter what.
10,000, 4,000 if they add extra chairs in the outfield, behind the outfield.
Extra chairs.
I just
not gonna need it.
That's actually pretty funny. We can get it to $13.50 if we get,
if you want a lounge chair, there's a $50 surcharge.
There you go.
Brutal.
Guys, listen, I got to run because I have to pick up my daughter. It was
Chris,
so
thank
great.
you
It was
for
so
the
great
hours
talking to you
you spent.
guys. Jason, finally got to meet you.
Pleasure.
And it's great that we're doing this for this organization.
Yeah.
But Lynn, anytime you need anybody to help you out, because Chris is not going to be able to help you out, co-hosting, I'm always available. So definitely just reach out to me. Okay.
And the fact that I do have a new co-host soon to be announced will not keep me from doing that, Chris.
Awesome.
You're
Good.
long overdue. We'll have you on.
Good.
Really
Yeah,
soon.
definitely.
Thank
I'm
you
always
so much.
available. So
Long
Rob,
overdue.
see you
Thank
soon.
you so much.
Guys, take care.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And lineup for tonight, anybody? Anyone curious? Did anyone see it yet?
Is it out? I don't think it's out yet.
It's
I'm
out.
not seeing it. Oh,
it's
Lynn,
out.
break it down. Break it down for us.
Okay. Well, do you want to lay your guess for where Stanton is in the lineup tonight?
5th.
You looked.
I did not. Am I right?
You're right.
He's
had-
5th?
Yeah.
Wow. If they weren't going to.
All right. So here we go. Torres, Soto, Judge, Rizzo, Stanton, Doogie Dog, Volpe, Wells, Cabrera, and Schmidt.
I would honestly
Probably
Verdugo and Stanton. I would move Stanton down another spot and Verdugo up one spot.
Yeah.
I just don't think they want to lump the lefties together like that. I mean, I even know Cabrera's getting back from the left side, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they want Rizzo Verdugo back to back and then Wells Cabrera back to back. But I think that's the best lineup they can have at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's pitching for the Blue Jays today? Is it Gaussman
Yeah.
I can give you that too. Yeah, it's Gaussman.
against Schmidt?
Yep.
Okay.
How do you like them apples?
Mm.
Little bitter apple.
I mean, this lineup is going to find its groove. I mean, you know, you know, there's so many people running off their hair on fire right now. Oh my God, they have a collective OPS of 6. It's 8 games into the season. That doesn't really make a difference. Somebody was telling me yesterday, oh, he's batting 667. Well, he played 1 game and he went 2 for 3. That's we can't go by those type of stats. Like, you know, we need a bigger body of collective performance before we can formulate any type of judgments, at least with any type of credibility. So it's too early.
But we're us.
Yeah, and
we're
there's
gonna horribilize everything, you know.
But
my only counter to that would be if we were seeing better at bats from certain guys, like Stanton and Rizzo's at bats have been dreadful.
Yep.
So I have a hard time being like, oh, they'll figure it out soon. I know Rizzo will figure it out, and I can see Stanton having a hot streak at some point. But how long is that hot streak going to last? Is it going to be 2-3 games, or is it going to be 2-3 weeks? You never really know with him. Torres as well, his at-bats haven't been great. Judge has been robbed a couple of times, but even he has had some rough at-bats. So I know that Judge will turn it around. I know Rizzo will eventually get it going. Same with Torres. He does this every year. But it's when you have 6 of your 9 not hitting worth the lick at all, and you're going to lose games. And getting shut out twice in the first 8 games, it hasn't happened in 70 years. That's a record that I don't want to see get broken. You know, like I understand that we're 6-2. I get it. I'm not jumping off the bridge here, but your 2 losses have been ugly losses that we saw too much of last year, where things fell apart. The wild pitches and the bad defense and all that. I would rather avoid that, because if these games in April matter, and I'd rather win as many games as possible, because we saw 2 years ago with the good April, good first month, 2 months of the season did for us. And then last year when we kind of like just barely made it through the first 2 months, how much it cost us. So
yeah,
I know they're going to pick it up. It needs to happen sooner, because we have too many key guys that are not producing. Verdugo's the one that I didn't mention. He had the big home run, but outside of that, he's kind of been a non-factor. There's too many automatic outs right now. 6 out of 9 have kind of been auto outs. Yep. You can't have that and expect to sustain a good offense. So fortunately for us, we blitzed through that Houston series and played well against Arizona, that we can afford a couple of hiccups here and there. But tonight's a big test. If they can hit Gaussman, then I'll feel very, very comfortable that they're going to go on some sort of a hot streak.
And I do thank my lucky stars that we don't have a Tampa Bay team making a 21-0 run like they did last year.
Yeah.
So a major hole. So thankfully that's not happening. The Orioles are good, but I mean they're not there yet. But they're going to be a formidable team no matter.
Still got to keep an eye on them.
Yeah. So the Yankees need to win as many games. And again, they have a tougher schedule than all these other teams do. I get it, but they're going to have to win more often than not. Whether it's ugly or by a mile, or it doesn't matter, they're going to have to figure out ways to win. And like Ram said too, these guys have to put it together with a little bit more consistency here. I mean, I see it's a triangle with Stanton, right? He stinks for a while, and then he gets hot for a while, and then he gets hurt while he's hot. And then he gets healthy and he stinks for a while, then he gets hot, and then he gets hurt. It's like stinks, hot, hurt, stinks, hot. It's it's the same triangle.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And you know, I know people talk about he's got a 162 game average of 40 home runs and blah blah blah, but you know, we need. I mean, he looks like he shouldn't even be playing in single A right now. So, and that's not what we need from a guy that has 400 plus home runs. We need him to contribute in his own way here. So, and we need him to complement the rest of the lineup. You know, and I do think Soto will pick it up. I'm not really worried about Soto. I mean, he's, you know, rubbing off on some of the Yankees with a patient approach, and then, which is good. But we need more than Soto and Judge. We need these other guys to play. Because otherwise, if it's like last year, they could just pitch around those guys, knowing that the rest of the team's not going to drive them in. Right. So we need Dugan. We need Rizzo to be healthy. We need, all these guys. Oswaldo, like whoever's playing. I'd like to see a little bit more of Wells too. I think he's got a better bat than Trevino.
Yep.
So
And yeah. And Trevino was a bit scary last night.
he had
So,
behind the plate with especially with Birdie. He had a rough day.
yeah, that, and also, and we were talking about this, I don't know, hour 12 or something earlier. We were talking about, Chris Vitale has a new show. The name of it I forget, but one of his first guests was John Flaherty, and I listened to it the other night, and it was really interesting because Chris was saying that the one thing that's driving him crazy is how catchers across the league are, you putting one knee down, and so he asked Flaherty about it, and to no surprise, I mean, Flaherty's a like old boy pitcher, right? Very like conservative, old school. He's not forward at all, and he explains that it just compromises the range, the pivoting range of the catcher at any given moment. And to me, last night, that run should not have scored were he not to. I mean, the knee he had down was the one pointing towards the third base line. If he had been in full squat, maybe he would have been able to pivot better and make the tag. That was a tag that should have happened.
Yep.
And so, it was a little bit surprising to see that he didn't adjust in that way. Excellent framer, platinum, triple platinum, quadruple platinum Glover, but just last night, and it's an aberration. I'm just gonna say it's got to be, but with his bat also lukewarm.
Yeah.
Wells is looking better.
I worry about the one down too because it exposes your quadricep to foul balls more often than not. You're protected in the groin with a cup. You're not protected with the quads with anything. So
Right.
if you get nailed in the quad with a foul ball, it's going to hurt you. You probably cause an injury. And nailed in the groin, whatever it might be. So I worry about that too. And I do agree with you. It affects the mobility one way or the other. But I don't like having that big fleshy part of the leg exposed like that to a foul ball or a bat ricochet or something like that. That worries me.
Right. And you'd have to think over time, as you're doing this habitually across 9 innings, across games, you're also throwing your body out of whack, or you're using your muscles in an imbalance, and that has to have some impact too. I'm no physiologist. I don't play one on TV, but I'm just saying, but remember how it annoyed us about Sanchez when he started doing it? But it's all the rage across MLB.
Yeah, I would worry less if it was somebody like Pudge, who's like a freak athlete behind the plate. But these guys are not Pudge. So, and I think it's I'm with Flaherty here, just a more traditional feet down, put yourself in a position to pivot better and catch. If your feet are down, you can get up much easier.
Yep.
So, make it easier to transition and throw the ball to second or throw the ball to third or even first if you need to. So that's something that I think that, that's an area that they can improve on, and I hope they do. I really hope they do. Man. You have any thoughts on that, Rob?
Man, I just think Trevino's defense in general has taken a step back over the last 2 years. I know he was hurt last year, but he's supposed to be, and even this year he kind of got off to a slow start because of his injury. So is he still hurt? Is he dealing with stuff that he's not telling us about again or telling the team about? Because his defense has not looked good for 2 years. I know he won a platinum glove 2 years ago, but last year I didn't think he was all the rage. I thought Higgy wasn't that good, but he's probably better in defensively. Even Rortvet may have been better defensively. Right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they need to look for a replacement to get another bat that can play behind the plate. Maybe Ben Rice makes an impact early this year. Because Trevino is an auto out. He's just, every time he's up there, you just don't get the sense he's going to do anything. 2 years ago, he would come up with an occasional hit here and there. He was clutch, but lately the guy just can't hit. And you would sacrifice that if you knew his defense was flawless, but now his defense has been far from that. It's been really, really shaky. And until he can get one of those two things going, and I doubt it's going to be his bat. If his defense was good, we wouldn't be worrying about it too much, because we probably still lose that game, but maybe we lose it 1-0. Or better yet, that with the 9th inning rally, they may have been able to scrape one across and we go to extras again. Anything could have happened with a better catcher behind the plate. But it's a shame, because I like Trevi. I think he's got a place on a major league roster, but when you have 100 catchers in your system, Narvaez is coming up, Ramirez is not too far off, and Ben Rice is probably ready now. They should be looking to potentially move on from Trevino. The only thing that might be keeping him here is when Garrett Cole's healthy, that's his guy. So do you put Cole back out there from an injury with Wells, who he's never pitched to really, or a new guy like Ben Rice? So that's kind of the situation that we're in right now. But if Trevino keeps playing like this, they might have no choice but to be like, all right, Cole, you're going to have to throw to Wells. They should play Austin Wells as much as possible. And then Trevino should maybe play like twice a week, the max. But that's what they like to do with catchers, is platoon them, but they can use a better bat to back up Wells.
I thought a change of scenery would have done Joey Bart some good. I'm surprised the Yankees didn't take a flyer on him. He was a bust with the Giants, but now he's with the Pirates. But I thought he might have been a nice addition to the Yankees stable. But Ben Rice is probably the closest as well. I would agree with you. He's got definitely the most ready bat, that's for sure. So where is he now? Is he in Double-A or Triple-A? Right.
Yeah, they put him in Double-A. I think. I'm kind of surprised they did that, because he mastered it last year. He was killing the ball, but maybe they want to see a little smaller sample size, because I don't know how many catchers are in Triple-A right now. I know Torrens is there, but they got him playing like first base as well. And who else is Narvaez should be in Triple-A. So I mean, maybe they just want Rice to get as many at bats. But I thought they'd play him a little bit at first, but maybe they want to keep him behind the plate, because at that breakout game, he was the catcher. Yeah. And Ramirez was DHing, which really surprised me. So maybe they have plans for Rice to be the backup to Wells, or platoon the both of them.
Could be. Could very well be. You get his bat up here too. You'd have two better bats. I mean, Wells and Rice would be better than Wells and Trevino in terms of bat wise. So we haven't had that much of an offensive firepower from two guys at the same time in a while behind the plate. So could be a shot. I really wonder, because I know Ben Rice, they've talked about him moving to first base, but I have a feeling that, Spencer Jones might be transitioning to first base at some point, because it's the easiest way to get him in the lineup with Jason Dominguez when Dominguez comes back, if they're going to play Dominguez in the outfield. So you can get Dominguez and Jones here in the lineup at the same time. I definitely hope that they're able to do that. But we'll see. And there's a lot. This is a good problem for the Yankees to have. It's an annoying one, but it's a good problem. They have enough depth to not be able to figure out who's going to play where. So, and you have a lot of good bats to choose from. So, it's a good problem to have. How long? I don't know, but it's a good problem for them to have right now. They haven't had this type of depth in a long time.
Farm's loaded.
Yeah.
It's loaded from top to bottom. And the thing about Spencer Jones is we've had this conversation a lot, and a former person that was in our chat would constantly argue about it, how you can't move Spencer Jones away from the outfield. And the whole time I was arguing about it was that they can use him as a Bellinger type, the way Mazza brought up months ago in his article on NYYU, how they can use him like Bellinger for the first few years, because I personally don't see them cutting Stanton with 3 years, $90 million left on his deal.
But too much money.
Yeah, exactly. So my whole thought process was, if for 3 years you have Jones play a hybrid first base outfield, when Stanton's gone, even if it's 2 years from now, but let's assume it's those 3 years, when Stanton's gone, then Judge would be 35, 36 at that point. Mm-hmm. He can be your DH. You're assuming Soto's back. He's not going anywhere. You're not DHing a 26-year-old Juan Soto after giving him a record contract. And even when he's 28, 29, you're not going to DH him. You have him in right. Then Jones can play center, and Dominguez would eventually transition to left, which probably fits his body type better. And this way, at that point, Jones would be 25, about to play center field. So he's not going to be losing athleticism at 25. He's going to be hitting his prime, essentially.
Yep.
Judge can be your DH, and you have it set up. And in 3 years, somebody can come up as the first baseman. There's a guy out of FSU, I think Tibbs is his last name, that I know Bobby Malone on Twitter has been talking about a lot. I would be perfectly fine if that was their first round pick this year. Of course, a lot can change. So yes, Garcia, it's the exact same person I'm talking about. The person who calls him Sizemore 2.0. But yeah, I think that's the best way to go, just so you can get his bat in there. Because if Jones has a spring like this next year, he's got to make the team.
Yeah, he's got to be up in point this year too. I think he's going to be up in trouble. Got to be. No, I can't see that. I can't see the benefit in keeping him in Double-A all season. He's got to get that next transition point before the majors, which will set him up for next year. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see him and Dominguez in the lineup at the same time with Soto and Judge. Like, that excites me. That excites me. It really does. The possibilities are pretty serious. And then you have these arms that we're not even talking about yet either, that they have butting through the system too. So they're well set up for the foreseeable future. You know, even infield, Arias, Lombard. So they've got a lot of personnel here, a lot of it. You know, but I'm with you too. Like, I would like to see them draft a non-shortstop in the first round. kind of nice. So it's in that if Tibbs, right? He looks like a pretty good looking player, and there's a couple other folks that look pretty solid too, and they're outfield types too. So I think, that would be a good way to go. I think so. I mean, their infield depth seems to be a little bit deeper than their outfield depth in the farm, because beyond Dominguez and Jones, who's after them?
Well, they had Cruz. Valorio's still very young. Cruz was still young. Anthony Hall. I mean, Pereira still technically would fall into that category. Yeah, I mean, a lot of their guys are young. A lot of the outfield guys are young. So there's even the infield guys like Cerna and Arias, Lombard. These are all guys that are still a couple of years away. Cerna probably sooner, but Vivas is close to ready, and Durbin could be ready right now. I'm actually surprised he's not on the team over Jahmai Jones, but I mean, the depth is insane. It just sucks that none of them can really play first base. And I think Rumfield has the inside track right now. If they don't move Spencer Jones, they might just say, screw it, and say Spencer Jones is the guy and put him out there. We don't know yet until until he masters Double-A and eventually Triple-A. All he is for right now is just a prospect. And that's kind of like the point I'm trying to make to people is it's okay to be, excited for the prospect, but there's a lot of people that are like dubbing him as the next big thing. This is Aaron Judge all over again from the left side. This is Juan Soto's replacement. Like, to say that he is going to be able to replace Juan Soto is insanity to me. You're putting pressure on the kid that doesn't need to be put there. So until we see him figure it out, like until we see him master the minor leagues, that's why they're in the minor leagues. Remember, Dominguez had almost an identical spring to Jones. In fact, Dominguez was better last year in the spring than Spencer Jones. And the Yankees didn't call him up, thankfully. And he got off to a kind of a slow start in the minors last year. And then he picked it up. He blitzed through AAA, and then he was here. So I'm just saying, be patient, but also you'll see him be excited, but also be patient. That's what I'm trying to say, because you will see the growing pains. Not every prospect is going to come up here and hit like Dominguez did for 10 games or 8 games. Some guys are going to have that slow start the way Volpe did or the way Peraza has been. So it happens, but don't put unnecessary pressure on these prospects when they don't need to have it put on them.
For every Jason Dominguez, there's a Kevin Moss.
Yep.
So he was awesome for a month, and then he fell off the face of the earth and never heard from him again. So he was supposed to be Don Mattingly's replacement, right? Didn't happen. And he had Roy Hobbs like tower power, but never materialized after a month. So I think it's important to place that realism with the expectations too. So let's just be realistic. He's 22. Let's let him be 22. Let's let him develop. When he's ready, he'll be here. right? And not have to throw them to the wolves. It's like they don't need to rush Dominguez back. They don't need to. Make sure that he's healthy. Protect this kid. You've had him in your system for 5 years now. You protect him like a crown jewel. Keep protecting him. I mean, let's make sure he's healthy. Let him, and you can even give him the Bryce Harper treatment. You can give him the DH. If Stanton's not hitting, I would play Dominguez at DH for a while. Make sure his body's healthy. Make sure his bat's around, and then you can transition him to the field, just like they did with Bryce Harper, the Phillies. DH'd him for the rest of the year. Now he's in the field. Now we know he's healthy. I would be fine giving Dominguez the same type of care. I think it's important. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. I mean, hopefully they don't succumb to the crazy expectations. So, this is where I like Cashman, because he generally doesn't, he doesn't listen to the noise. So people can hate him for that, but he just, does like that to the noise. He doesn't listen to it, which is just like he's not listening to, you got to trade Spencer Jones for Jesus Luzardo, for Dylan Cease. Like, for what? Is it worth? I don't think so. Not Luzardo.
I wouldn't have traded. The only player I was willing to trade him for was even for 1 year of Corbin Burns, because that is a legitimate ace. That's the only guy I was willing to move him for, or if Castillo became available, but he wasn't available. I understand it's a rental, and what if he doesn't resign? Well, you took that same risk with Soto. I know the cost was less, but Corbin Burns was that guy for me that I would have been willing to bite the bullet and give him a Spencer Jones. And I would have hated to trade him, but to get a Corbin Burns, that's
sending him to the Brewers, right? At least we weren't sending him to a team that was going to punish us all the time with him.
Yeah.
The Brewers, when are we going to face them aside from the World Series? So that's another way of looking at it too. Like, I would have hated to part with Spencer Jones too, but if you can get, and luckily for the Orioles, they didn't have to give up Jackson Holiday and some of their top guys for him. Credit to them. Who knows if they're going to re-sign him? We don't know. He's a Scott Boras client, so Boras is going to take him to the market, play the same game like he played with this guys this year. It's just going to happen unless the Orioles lock him up long term.
They might with the new ownership.
Yeah, and but if he makes it to free agency, he's going to get a QO. He's going to get all the stuff that Blake Snell was attached to. So just something to keep in mind too. You're going to have to forfeit draft picks and all this other stuff just to get a chance to sign him. And why would the Orioles not do that? So, but I do think they're going to wind up paying a pretty penny for him. And they have to. They want to stay at top. They need a guy like Corbin Burns.
Oh yeah.
And that's just, it's going to keep the American League East just an absolute hornet's nest to play around. So it's going to be a tough division. And even like the Rays, they do a great job of getting revenue sharing and still winning and still developing players like on a super low payroll. They do it better than pretty much everybody, the Rays. And losing guys. And they lost Juan DeFranco. They lost Tyler Glasnow. They lost a lot of guys. Margot. And they're still going to be pretty formidable this year. I'm not sleeping on the Rays at all. And Ben Rortvett's making contributions to him already.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Garcia, which, by the way, thank you again for the super chat. I think he said that he was hitting 400 to start the season.
Yeah.
So it kind of figures that it would happen. I know for a fact Ben Rortvett's hitting a home run against the Yankees this year. I would be willing to bet some good money on that. Like, he's gonna take somebody deep, whether it's in the Bronx or in that dump of a place they call a stadium. Yeah. He's hitting a home run this year against the Yankees.
I would have to agree with that. He's gonna punish us one way or the other. He's gonna give it to us somehow. So
I'm sure. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the Jay Buhner treatment for a couple days from him. So yeah, just the way that it is. I wish he would have panned out here, but he didn't. So it is what it is. Well, but in terms of like the Yankees, like, I think, I feel better about the bullpen than a lot of people do. I don't really have one foot off the ledge when it comes to Clay Holmes yet. So, he didn't blow that save the other day. The infield did. So, and people don't want to admit that, but they did. Had they made that play, Volpe made that play with Rizzo, nobody would be talking about this. But he did. So I can't put that on Clay Holmes. So I know, sometimes you'll get a little bit of John Wetland feeling from him, a little scary when he's closing the games, but I'm not ready to just throw him to the dumpster yet. And he's going into a contract year too. So I expect him to be pretty decent this year. And I'm not willing to give up Spencer Jones for Clase. So, or Dominic Clase. No way.
No.
So, like, who's going to represent that much of an upgrade over him at this point for the price? I can't think of anybody. I don't want to pay $38 million a year for Josh Hader. There's no way.
No.
Let him go to the Astros. Go ahead. I don't know about you two. I mean, I would like to know what you folks think. Like, I'm okay with Holmes right now. I'm okay. And I think he's going to be surrounded by a better supporting cast in the bullpen and a better offense behind them. Now, they're in a position now where, like last year, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to lose 6-2. Well, now we're going to win 7-6. So it's like, that's a different feel on this team. And they're going to put themselves in a better spot. They're going to give him more save opportunities, right? They're going to give the other guys more hold opportunities. So, and guys are more credibly step into his place if they need to do that. Whereas, and we have Tommy Kahnle, that'll give him a shot in the arm when he comes back. Scott Efrost will give him a shot in the arm when he comes back. And my guess is Cashman's probably hunting right now for another arm. Now that we know Loizaga's on a 60-day IL, he's probably hunting quietly for an arm. I wouldn't be surprised.
He's out for the year.
Is he out for the year?
Yeah, Brian Hook just put it on Twitter like a minute ago that he needs season-ending surgery, but it's not Tommy John. Expected recovery is 10 to 12 months.
It was a significant forearm strain, right? So I wonder what that was, that type of tendon flexor or something like that in the forearm.
They said it was a torn UCL.
Well, that's all signs are pointing towards Tommy John, but
yeah.
I keep losing track of Marinaccio. What's his ETA? What's his deal?
It's just bad. he's been terrible. He's been bad. He was bad last year. He was bad in the spring. And the fact, I said this earlier, Jason, you let me know what you think. The fact that they skipped over him and decided, let's just bring Santana up to replace Loizaga, that's kind of telling that they've given up on Marinaccio, or are they just trying to work on something with him? Because he was outstanding 2 years ago. And then last year he was dealing with some stuff and he wasn't good at all. And this spring he wasn't good at all either. So do you think that's surprising that they skipped over Marinaccio, or what do you think?
No, I don't think it's surprising. I honestly thought he was going to be a trade piece to get a bench piece or something like that.
Might still be.
They could. I mean, they could trade him for a draft pick compensation or something like that, right? Or something to get an extra draft pick, high rounds. So they could do that too. I don't see a spot for him now this year on the team. I mean, Ian Hamilton's way leapfrogged him. So he leapfrogged him. So I just don't see a spot. And especially when Kahnle and Efrost come back, where's he going to play?
And Lou Trevino.
So, and it's a shame, but
right.
I think he's trade bait now. That's unfortunate.
They just got Bickford to a minor league deal, so there's another arm that they brought in. So they've loaded up on the bullpen arms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have several. Again, I'm with you. I'm going to ask Lynn her opinion about Clay Holmes, because I've spoken about Clay Holmes several times that I'm almost tired of it. I just want to see him pitch well. That's all I care about. If he proves people wrong, he proves people right, whatever. I just want him to get the job done. But that's really all what it comes down to. But Lynn, what do you think about old closer Clay Holmes?
I think I think you could speak for me. I would like him to become one personality, and not have to guess each time, is it going to be good Holmes or bad Holmes? Because there's really nothing in between. He's either going to make you down a tub of Tums, or you're going to feel okay, and that's just that. It's one or the other with him, and so and the thing that's so maddening to me is that when he's good, he's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the stuff is there. So why isn't it there all the time? What is the it factor that turns him into the bad personality? Because we know his commands and his location, and he has a fairly good range of pitches. So I don't get it.
And to your point too, Lynn, you could have a great 8 months here, but if you have one bad month, that's what gets magnified more than anything else. He
Right.
had a good ERA last year and the year before that, but he had one bad month last year. And that's all that most people talk about. Just one
That's
bad.
really fair. That's
Now
really fair.
we need a real closer. Clay Holmes sucks. It's constant. It's constant. So I really hope that he proves more people wrong. I really do. And until we have another closer, I'm riding with Clay Holmes.
I mean, we have no choice but to ride with him. But
Yeah.
that's really fair, Jason. That's gonna temper me down a bit. So I thank you for that. That was a
I-
very fair counter.
I think it's important to inject perspective wherever we can. Right.
Yep.
And whether that means you're looking at both sides, people think I'm nuts because I do it all the time, but I like to look at the bright side of it too. There's more bright side to Clay Holmes than there's dark side. And that to me, I like that. And I think it's important to point that out.
Now
So-
I'm just feeling a little bit bad and guilty.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people with one foot out the window. Like people are just running around with their hair on fire. Oh, why did we get Clase? Josh Hader and Devin Williams. And Devin Williams he has a broken back.
Yeah, he's hurt. Hader cost you $95 million, and Clase is going to cost you an arm and a leg because he's got a really good contract that if Cleveland were to trade him away for a closer of that magnitude, you're going to pay a lot to get him. It might not be what it cost you to get Chapman way back in 2016 when the Cubs traded for him. It might not take your top prospect, but it's going to be a pretty hefty price. And the same would go for a guy like Bednar, but I don't know if Pittsburgh's willing to move him. But again, I've made this argument before about Clay Holmes. Out of all the guys that were available this offseason, there was nobody outside of Hader that was really better than Clay Holmes. And I know Clay Holmes gives me headaches. He gives me nightmares when he comes on the mound. I understand that. But if you're going to tell me that Hector Neris was a better closer than Clay Holmes, statistically speaking, you're wrong because Neris hasn't closed. Well, Holmes has. AJ Puck was brought up to be the closer by a certain somebody. No, absolutely not. Everyone was saying, oh, go get this guy. Oh, go get Phil Matten. He can close. No, none of these guys were better closers. Unfortunately, it's a problem when he does have those walls that he hits, a Chapman-like wall, but hopefully he avoids that this year. The one thing is when he's pitched, it hasn't lost us a game yet. So
yeah,
he
doesn't bring drama. So that's comforting too. And Chapman has brought drama with him over the years, and Holmes is not. And I don't know what you think, Tess, but like, it's too much of a fixation on. We need to get the flavor of the month here, all the time. The hot name that everybody's talking about. He's the guy. When we don't get him, Cashman's a bum. He's a loser, right? There's too much of this. Cashman can get anybody he wants anytime he wants, and that's not necessarily reality. And that's important to acknowledge that. And again, like you said too, Rob, like who was a massive upgrade representation over Holmes? The only guy that, like you said, and I agree. I keep dropping my damn phone.
You okay?
Yeah. Josh Hader would have been represented in that upgrade, but look at the cost. And that $19 million a year becomes $38 million here, or $39 million here because the Yankees are over the Cohen threshold. So, and that's, that's a big number. Big number.
Yep.
But when it comes to Holmes, and welcome, I'll welcome myself in back again. But when it comes with Holmes, look, here's the issue with Holmes, right? He's not as bad as his number, he's stressful when he's on the mound. It drives us all crazy. Right? There's no secret in that. But he comes through more than he fails. And just remember this one thing. We also have this new rule that they put in place banning the shift. When you have a ground ball pitcher and rule changes to increase the offense, you're going to get those ground balls that skirt through the infield for base runners.
Yeah.
It's, how to realign the infield to limit the balls that get through. So that's why you see a lot of hot traffic innings. It's not that he sucks as a closer. Look, he's pitching to his game. He's a ground ball pitcher. He's not a strikeout pitcher.
Yeah.
So the rules don't, they're not helping Holmes at all. And there's also the bar. It's the Rivera bar, right? Nobody's going to be as good as Rivera. That's the unfortunate comparison. Just like every shortstop's going to be, graded on Jeter's level.
Mm-hmm.
Any time there's, when we have like a no hitter or a perfect game, well, Lawson did it in the World Series. There's always that. Well, somebody else did it better, and that can go for any position. The first baseman, right? Well, no, they're no Mattingly. So it's a constant comparison of players, which is why I really started getting away from those comparisons, because it doesn't serve the now. Look, the Yankees pride themselves on their past. We pride themselves on their past accomplishments as well. But you can't, it's something that we were talking with Chris from Talking Rivals earlier. Every season you have to reinvent your expectations. With Holmes, we have to reinvent our expectations because the game is making rules that take him out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's going to be deemed ineffective because he gives up ground balls. Would you rather would you rather a fly ball closer? That we got from a big ballpark that gives up home runs left and right.
Yep.
We have to, really change our way of thinking.
And to your point, too, Tats, him or anybody else that comes in extra innings, they have to deal with the ghost runner now.
Yeah.
The runner on second. That's a different calculus for relief pitchers that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we're going to be closing out part 2 of the fundraiser. Jason, if you do have time, I did send you the link for the next segment.
Okay. If
If you want to jump back in with us and continue the breakdown of Holmes, because it's a legitimate discussion. It's the points are all valid. We always prefer to close it at Mrs. Bats, but that's we don't have that at the moment. Right. We there's still question marks about some players. We'll take a deeper dive into the start part 3 in the final 4 hours of the fundraiser. So just remember, this is as much as we're enjoying, like I've been saying, as much as we've been enjoying the discussions about the Yankees and baseball and overall, we are raising money for Parkinson's Awareness Month. So any contributions that you do give, you see the ticker on the bottom. You can always super chat us. Lynn just threw in the link to donate directly to them, as well in the chat, and the barcode above to send us a buy me a coffee, buy us a coffee, whatever it is. I'm running out of words here, so I'll close this out the way I always do, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes. I know, believe me, I ate it. You know who I'm missing? Cold Italian pizza, because I just had a cold slice of pizza while I was trying to take care of the animals.
But, you didn't offer us any? How unbelievable. I can't.
I got the leftovers from everybody else at the house last night. I didn't even get a fresh pie. But, but as I always say, we have Pinstripes your pride, play hard, and jump over to the next link. We will continue the discussion. I put in the chat earlier, we do have more guests on the way. We still have to come for Trade Express, Morning Brew Sports, and Chris Vitale from ball9.com to close us out. So hope to see you all there. And Jason, if you got, you have the link, jump in if you can. If not, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Thank you for the time that you did give.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put out a video. I'm gonna put out the lineup, and I think I have one thing to do, so I'll jump as soon as I can.
Yeah, nope, you have the link. Come in anytime.
Thank you guys for having me. I'll see you
all right.
a little bit.
And, we'll see everybody on the next stream.
See you in a hot sec. Bye.